Lu Zheng had doubts in his mind. He wanted to ask, but after a moment's thought, Mo Shanghua didn't mention it just now, so he would not say it. With such care, I'm afraid the medicinal material is of great use to her. Lu Zheng's mind turned a few circles, and then he made a decision. When he didn't see anything, he put down the prescription. The princess's medicine is really excellent. The scar-removing effect must be extraordinary. After a while, I'll go back and immediately send someone to match it. The princess can rest assured. Lu Zhengsai's facial expressions were all absorbed into his eyes by Mo Shanghua, and the palm of his hand suddenly relaxed and pulled out a smile. So, thank you for your help. The princess is serious. Lu Zhen politely answered, and then pondered for a while, then suddenly said, when the princess first came to the palace, I dared to persuade her that the people in the palace should not believe it easily. The flower face on the street suddenly surged up a bit surprised, did not think much, a word then blurted out, also include Lu Imperial Doctor? Lu Zhen was stunned. After a while, he came back to himself. His eyes were clear and moist. He didn't answer directly. Instead, he changed his voice. It's late. I'll go back to make the medicine first. Later, I'll send it to the princess and leave. After that, he packed the medicine box, carried it on his back, and bowed down respectfully. Mo Shanghua looks at the empty seat. Lu Mei can't help frowning gently. It's really strange everywhere in Yu's mansion. Even looking at Lu Zheng, who is so easy to get along with, he can't tell how different he is from others. King Yu is just a prince who is not in favor, and he has been demoted to such a remote place. What else does he have that makes those people have to think about it? Lu Zheng had a certain position in Yuang's mansion. After he agreed to take flowers on the street, he soon gathered the herbs together and sent them to him in person. Of course, it's necessary to take so many precious medicinal materials for dispensing for no reason. After discussing with Lu Zheng, Mo Shanghua pretended to be ill, and the news came out that the princess was seriously ill. Just a few days after the wedding, the news that Princess Yu was seriously ill soon spread all over Yuzhou. For a time, it became the talk of the city people when they were idle. At the same time, it was also because of the fact that Princess Yu was seriously ill, which caused a lot of trouble. Nanha sits on the soft couch with his head down. His eyes sweep over the maids who are waiting on the side around him, and finally fall on Yan Beicheng, who is opposite him. I don't know whether he wants to ask Your Honor, the maid who is next to him, intentionally or unintentionally, Your Honor, I heard that the princess is ill. How are you these days? Without waiting for Your Honor to answer, Yan Beicheng raised his head from the original false research picture album, and a deep color suddenly crossed his clear eyes. South Crane light persistent soft gauze PA's delicate fingers suddenly a tight, but the face did not show, is still that pair of soft and gentle appearance. Your Honor didn't feel the slightest difference. She answered truthfully, Madam Hui, I went to see you this morning. Although I didn't see anyone, I still didn't get better after listening to the girl from Wu Yuan. How could that be? As he watched Yan Beicheng's look quietly, he began to worry. I saw you a few days ago. The princess is still ruddy. How can she be so sick now? Your Honor, you are going to visit the princess with me later. Yan Beicheng, who had been watching for a long time, was moved in his heart. He immediately thought of the fact that Mo Shanghua had told him a few days ago that he wanted to make a prescription. He also had a number in his heart, and his eyes were indifferent. However, now still in front of people, he showed concern and asked casually, is the princess ill? Don't you know? South Crane's pretty face was a little surprised, but deep in the soft eyes, there was a dark color. Although it seemed casual, she had never heard the Lord ask the woman beside her before. Now she asked the woman herself. Yan Beicheng looked down at the painting and calligraphy in front of him. He didn't notice the look in his eyes. He just nodded at random. Women are most sensitive to this convenience. In his heart, he imagines several possibilities. His long and sharp nails suddenly break through the soft gauze and make a slight, tearing, sound. What sound? Yen North City Sword Eyebrow Light See You, Mao Guang can't help but follow the direction that voice spreads to see past. The South Crane face does not change color of will break the whole of the PA's sun to close into the palm, it is the spring day, the cat is in love, now perhaps is to scratch the veil bad. After a short pause, she turned her eyes and worried again. The princess was ill the day before yesterday. Dr. Lu personally went to see it. He said it was quite serious. It spread all over the house. The prince's daily management is very good. I don't know, it's normal. But the prince can rest assured that my concubine recites sutras and prays for the princess day by day. Although the princess's condition is not getting better, I believe that the princess will be lucky in the end. It seems that he is right. As for where the broken sound of the silk came from, he knew clearly in his heart. His eyes, which seemed clear, were deep and quiet. Oh. He nodded indifferently and put down the painting and calligraphy for the time being. With your blessing, she will be fine. After that, he turned his eyes and looked at Nanha. However, the princess is seriously ill. It's really shameful that I don't ask. You should have a good rest. I'll come to see you when I'm free. When Yen Beicheng left, the resentment from the bottom of Nanhe's eyes came out uncontrollably. The broken veil was rubbed and tightened in her hands until her fingertips turned white. She looked at the horse and followed him for so many years without any regrets. He didn't worry about her more than half of the time. This stranger was ugly in appearance and unpleasant in temperament. How could he care so much about her? Isn't it that he has already moved his heart to her? It seems that this stranger really has some skills, but the skills in the end do not depend on the moment. The hand that South Crane clenches PA's son suddenly a loose, ruddy lip cape raises a touch of surreal radiance. However, no matter how the outside world upset the day, Mo Shanghua was not interested in paying attention to it for the time being. She just stayed in the room all day, pretending to be ill, and began to prepare antidotes at the same time. Mo Shanghua holds back the crowd, and orders Qin Lin and Qin Ye to guard outside. Then he puts the herbs Lu Zheng sent on the table one by one and takes good care of them. Before dispensing, she would habitually twist some of them, put them on her nose and sniff them. Then she would put them into the medicine mill and grind them carefully. Because Lu Zheng had already prepared the ingredients, she saved a step. Mo Shanghua stepped on the medicine mill, twisted a herb in his hand, hung his head and sniffed. This time, her face was not as cool as before, and her look in her eyes suddenly changed. She rushed to the end of her nose and smelled it carefully. Then she hung her head and turned it over in this bag of medicine with her hands, and her heart suddenly sank. Fern root is cold in nature and tastes sweet and bitter. Although this medicine is also sweet and bitter, it has a sour taste that seems to be absent. If you don't smell it carefully, you can't smell it at all. This medicine is fake. Mo Shanghua's face was slightly heavy, and a bad idea slowly floated in her heart. She was busy taking out all the remaining raw materials and checking them one by one. Under this inspection, it was found that half of these dozens of kinds of medicinal materials were fake. And one of the most critical medicine, especially terrible. It is not as good as other drugs, and has been replaced by a fake drug, but with a similar, enough to replace with a fake deadly poison. It seems that someone in this house wants her life. The medicine Lu Zhen gave him was also what he ordered the housekeeper to do. After the housekeeper came, he had to send someone to deliver it. I don't know how many people have been in charge during this period. If we really want to trace it, I'm afraid we need to make a lot of noise. Now she has to pretend to be ill and can't do anything. But among these people, there is only one housekeeper who is most likely to hate her. The housekeeper is the emperor's person, so the one who really wants to take her life. The shallow and light eyes of the flowers on the street were suddenly dyed with a bit of Shinran, and a touch of killing intention. Others have already laid hands on her. How can she let those people go? It was in the meditation room that there was a knock on the door in the room which had been silent for a long time. Qin Ye's voice came in from the outside. Princess, my wife and concubine of each courtyard have come to see you. Do you want to see me? Mo Shanghua's killing intention in her eyes immediately gathered a clean, deep and quiet color in her eyes flashed away. Please come in. She would like to see what tricks these individuals are going to play. After hearing this, Qin Lin explains it to Qinya in sign language. Mo Shanghua also tidies up, takes some medicine that can change the complexion, and lies on the bed again. Just lay down. Mo Shanghua came in with a group of ladies and concubines, headed by Yun Ji and Ping Ji. But the most favorite, Nan He, didn't come. I heard that he was watching the flowers with the king. Mo Shanghua was half lying on the bed, covered with a thick brocade quilt, pale as paper, and coughing twice from time to time. She looked very sick. The ladies and concubines had different thoughts when they saw the faces of the flowers on the street. Of course, they were more schadenfreude. Cloud Ji heart clearly wish Mo Shanghua die early, but face is full of worry. How is the princess's condition now? Can have improved. Our sisters came in a hurry as soon as they got the news. They were really worried. It's been a few days since the serious illness came out. Today I got the news that they really care about her. The flowers on the street were pale, and their lips were pale. It's all my fault. I can't control the girls' mouths. It's so early that I let the news out. I'm so worried that everyone came to see me in such a hurry. The words, worried, and urgent, were bitten by her very seriously. The implication is self-evident. The faces of all the people were stiff. For a moment, they did not dare to answer. They were afraid that if they said something wrong, they would make this man unhappy. After all, she is now a dying person. If she wants to pull a few cushions, no one can stop her. Mo flower Mao light quietly from each person's expression one by one. Income Mao bottom. In passing one of them, Mao light can't help but get a meal. She's met this person. It's Shuaji. Shuaji's appearance is good, but at this time, she is drooping her head and can't see the look in her eyes. Her green fingers are holding her sleeve tightly, which seems to be some inexplicable tension. The color of flower eyes on the street was slightly deep, and suddenly she said, I'm greedy in my illness now. I heard that Shuaji has got the best Shuian tea. I don't have it. Would you like to share some with me? The sudden roll call made Shuaji jump in her heart. She looked up in a hurry and raised a smile. Of course, if the princess wants it, I will send it to her. Her lips slightly stiff radiant. Mo Shanghua heart doubts even more, but the face is not obvious. Cover the chest light cough too, so, thank you. Shuaji clenched her sleeve, which suddenly relaxed, and sat back again. The buttock has not yet sat down. The voice of the flower on the street actually came again. By the way, I heard that the Lord just promised you to go home to visit your relatives a few days ago, but I don't know. Have you ever gone back? It's not that she pays more attention to Shuaji. It's really that Yunji and Pingji come to her all day long to talk about this favor and that favor. It's hard for her to know. So a series of words down. Mo Shanghua busy and deliberately cover the chest, keep coughing up, attracted people around a false concern. Mo Shanghua just waved her hand to show that she had nothing to do, and her eyes fell on Shuaji. Shuaji palms from a sticky sweat, hesitated for a long time, just a little stiff pulling lips, has come, please worry about the princess. There are eyes everywhere in the palace. It's not a big thing, but she can't hide it at will. She doesn't dare to lie. Shuaji is so lucky that she can save her family. On the other hand, it is rare to show a bit of admiration. The pale lips are slightly open, as if they want to say something. But before they finish, they are coughing. When people don't notice, she quietly gives Qinya a look. Qinya Dun understood that, blocking in front of the bed, respectfully after the ceremony, just raised his voice, the princess is short, ladies, please go back. There were no stupid people on the scene. They nodded one after another. After a while, they all dispersed, and the house was quiet again. The flower on the street's face faded from discomfort, turned over and sat up on the bed, looking as indifferent as ever. Qin Lin, go and check the details of Shuaji quietly. Don't let people notice. Qinya, Go and ask Imperial Dr. Lu to come here. Qin Lin and Qin Ya are deaf and dumb. They cooperate with each other. They don't need to say hello to each other. Then they understand that they are in a hurry. When Lu Zhen came, Mo Shanghua had already put on a thick coat and sat on the beauty couch in the side hall. Lu Zhen salutes in a regular way. This should have said the free Mo Shanghua, but at this time it turned a deaf ear, not salty light slow enunciation. Lu Imperial Doctor, do you know what I call you at this time? Lu's face was full of doubts. He shook his head honestly. I'm stupid. I hope the princess can give me some advice. Naturally, it's a good thing that Dr. Lu did. Mo Shanghua's pale lips gently pulled out a sneer, eyes color frozen with snow. Yesterday sent those herbs, but mixed with nearly half of the fake medicine. This medicine is you personally sent, Lu Yui. You don't want to tell the princess, you don't know this. In fact, Lu Jing did not know about it. Wen Yan stayed for a while. After a long time, he knelt down and said, the princess knows that before the medicinal materials are sent out, I have checked them. There is no possibility of any adulteration. The servant girl who was waiting in the room was also surprised. It was not because of the fake medicine, but because of the fact that the Imperial Dr. Lu, who was very powerful in the house, was reprimanded by the princess in public. He quietly raised his ears and watched. Mo Shanghua was not aware of the side eyes of the servant girls. She picked up the fake medicine on the table and threw it heavily in front of Lu Zheng. She said angrily, can the princess wrongly treat you? See for yourself whether this is true or not. Bang! The medicine fell to the ground and broke into pieces. Lu Zheng was a little surprised by the princess's behavior. Although he also felt wronged, he still twisted a piece of medicinal material the size of his thumb and went to the tip of his nose to identify it carefully. After a while, his face suddenly changed. How can this happen? The flower in the street sneered. The color of her eyes was very cold, but deep in the bottom of her eyes, she was indifferent. No matter who changed the fake medicine, you are the main person in charge of it. The fake medicine is not only what you see in front of your eyes, but also what kind of heart you want to kill the princess. Lu Zheng thought for a few seconds, and then said in a low voice, this is indeed my fault. I'm willing to help the princess investigate this matter. If the princess wants to punish me, I have no complaints. I'm bold and responsible. The flower eyes on the street gushed out some appreciation, but the face was deliberately condensing. After thinking for a long time, he nodded, you should know my illness, it can't be delayed. You can pass it to the relevant people now. Yes. Lu Zheng should be next. This just stood again to come in, to oneself after death of medicine Tong Fen enjoying some time. Before long, all the people, from housekeeper to servant girl, were brought in. People who have access to drugs and other things are all old people in the government. They are all old-timers. They just push each other around and refuse to admit that it's their own fault. The case has no progress. The flower eyebrow on the Mo deeply ACU, pondered for a while, at random ordered a mammy to come out. You said you were on duty when the housekeeper asked people to take medicine, but you were ill, so you didn't come? Mammy Zhang was suddenly ordered, her body trembled a little, and she quickly lowered herself. Yes, I dare not lie. Mo Shanghua Maoguang deeply stares at this mammy to see for a while. Just wait, mammy is so old, harm some disease is also normal, just don't know, what disease does mammy harm that day? Mammy Zhang's heart suddenly jumped, palms chin a little sweat, but dare not return, just casually said, it's just an old problem, take medicine, it doesn't matter. I'm flattered to let the princess ask. The flower on the street didn't answer. He waved to Qin Lin and whispered a few words. Then Qin Lin nodded and went down in a hurry. Zhang Wang and others, who were standing on one side, trembled for no reason in their hearts. They felt more and more uneasy in their hearts. They were too busy to say a word. The house was quiet for a long time. The flower on the street just covered her lips and coughed twice. Suddenly, she turned her tone and asked softly, look at Mammy's age. I've been working in the house for more than half a year. Mammy Zhang couldn't figure out what the flowers were thinking. She hesitated for a while and then said, yes. Mammy has been buried in this palace for most of her life. After working hard for a long time, she has fallen into this kind of trouble. It happens that today, Imperial Dr. Lu is also here, but we must let him help Mammy to have a look. If not, if it's spread out, outsiders will only say that I'm not human in Yu Palace. Mammy Zhang is very strong. She always bullies girls and boys. How can she have those problems? Just now she was just talking nonsense. How can she let Dr. Lu come to see her? She was so scared that she turned pale and shook her head. Dr. Lu is a noble man, but the old slave is a humble man. I can't do that. Lu Zheng looked at Mammy Zhang's face, and then glanced at the look of flowers on the street. Unexpectedly, it was also a strange cooperation. All patients here are regardless of the noble and the humble. Mammy doesn't have to be like this. As he spoke, he had already come to Mammy Zhang, trying to feel her pulse. Mammy Zhang dared not let Lu Zheng feel her pulse. She suddenly turned pale with fright. She could only say that she couldn't use it, and her hands were shrinking back desperately. Just at this time, Qin Lin came back from his work, went to Mo Shanghua's side, explained it in sign language with Qinya, and asked Qinya to tell Mo Shanghua. The pale face of the flower on the street suddenly became cold, with a cold voice, Mammy, I just let people inquire about it. Except for the gold and silver you save, you don't even have the smell of medicine in your room. It's very important. How dare you lie? It is impossible for people who have been ill all year round to have no medicine or fragrance in the house. Mammy Zhang was frightened by the words from the stranger, so she sat down on the ground. After a while, she kowtowed her head. Princess Mingjian, although I was in a panic, I really didn't do anything else. The flower on the road is hooking the corner of lips, coldly smile, that you that day in the end go? Go, go. Mo Shanghua Mao Guang sweeps the housekeeper and others' faces one by one from the side. Mao Guang seems to coagulate the essence of the knife, which makes people feel cold at the bottom of their heart. Those who had spoken to Mammy Zhang couldn't bear it. As soon as their legs softened, they knelt down and began to cry, Princess, please forgive me. I'm just afraid of taking the blame. Princess, please forgive me. This matter is so important that you and others cover up for each other and tell lies. If we don't punish them properly, how can we convince the public in the future? Mo Shanghua's voice was icy cold, without any emotion. He was a little angry. Come on, beat all these people 30 times and throw them into the room. As soon as the voice fell, Qin Lin called and dragged everyone out. Mo Shanghua specially asked people to fight those people outside the hospital. Therefore, the voices of those people were crying and howling because of pain, and they could be heard clearly in the room. This woman is really vicious. Zhang Wan swallowed his saliva, and his palm was sticky. The flower on the street seems to have an induction. She looks sideways, and faintly draws out a smile on her face. Zhang Wan's heart suddenly trembled violently, bit his teeth, suddenly stepped forward, knelt down in front of the flower on the street and kowtowed deeply. Fang said, Princess, it suddenly occurred to me that after Dr. Lu checked the herbs that day, I gave them to Wang Cai and asked him to send them. He was the last one to handle them. Oh. Mo Shanghua's body leans back lightly. It seems that he has some interest. Zhang Wan just wanted to finish the matter quickly, so he killed the man and said, Wang Cai has always been an evil person. He's the best gambler on weekdays. Everyone in the government has heard of him. He's the last one to deal with it. It must be for gambling that he quietly changed the real herbs and sold them. Before the flowers on the street opened their mouths, the princes in the procession knelt down and kowtowed, Princess Mingjian, although the slaves love gambling, they dare not be careless about the matter of human life. I beg for Princess Mingjian. Wang Kai, I remember that before you entered the government, you lost your daughter-in-law. You can do all kinds of things like this. What dare you do? There was a fierce color in Zhang's eyes. Without waiting for Wang Kaiduo to say that, he busily looked at the flowers in the street. If the princess doesn't believe it, she can ask people to search his house. There must be a lot of IOU in it. In this way, it can prove that what the slave said is true. While he was talking, he glanced at the two boys in the line. Two small see immediately reaction come over, busy all kneel down. To the princess, Wang Kai borrowed 30 liang of silver from the slave before, and suddenly returned it yesterday. This can be used as evidence. Yes, princess, and slave, he also returned it yesterday. Zhang Wang's lips quietly hooked the hook, immediately settled down, calmly arched his hand, the evidence is solid, please Princess Ming Jian. Hua Mingming put the housekeeper's little actions into his eyes, but he didn't seem to find them. After thinking for a while, he said, Wang Kai, can you confess your guilt? Wang Kai had already been frightened by this series of frame-ups and turned pale. At this time, he thought that things had taken a turn for the better. He kowtowed busily, his nose was runny and his tears were streaming, I'm wronged. It's really stubborn. Mo Shanghua's face was slightly heavy. He coughed twice, drank a glass of water, and then said, since the evidence is solid, I can't deny it. When someone came, Wang just changed the fake medicine. It's a terrible crime. He beat 50 big boards hard, and then abandoned one of his legs and drove him out of the house. This matter involves a lot, and her original purpose has been achieved, there is no need to continue to pursue. Zhang Wan's heart was suddenly relieved, and he was completely settled down. But that Wang Cai was scared out of control on the spot. However, no matter how he cried, he was forced to drag out. After a while, he heard bursts of shrill screams from outside. Mo Shanghua takes the green tea cup on the table and plays with it casually. The long eyelashes of Pu Fan cover the brilliance in her eyes, making people unable to see through what she thinks. But that pair of calm appearance, but as if also can't hear outside screams sound general. Zhang Wan looked up secretly, only felt cold in his heart, and could not stop scolding at the bottom of his heart. The woman was so vicious that she could turn a deaf ear to such an insidious voice. Just want to come forward to ask an order to leave, but outside the hall came Yan Beicheng with a kind of sigh-like voice. It's a good noon. What are you doing outside? It's bloody. It's so miserable. It's just seeping at you. While talking, Yan Beicheng strided in and swept around the room with his sword eyebrows frowning. Why is the room so busy? The people in the room saw that it was Yan Beicheng. They all knelt down to salute. Even the flowers in the street got up and blessed themselves a little. For a moment, there was no one to answer his question. Yan Beicheng waved his hand and let everyone get up. He waved his hand and let everyone get up. No one has said yet. What's the matter? Who will explain it to Wang? Said, the vision subconsciously looked to Zhang Wang. Zhang Wang was about to open his mouth to answer, but the voice of Hua Shirwan in the street suddenly rang, Lord Hui, it's like this. I found that the medicine I sent today was adulterated. I was just investigating this matter. When she spoke, she coughed with her lips covered from time to time, and her pale face made her look terminally ill. Yan Beicheng's eyes swept over the pale face of the flowers on the street, and the bottom of his eyes was clear. He quickly flashed a little deep, but in a twinkling of an eye, he regained his dandy appearance. Fake medicine. He was surprised and exclaimed, how could there be fake medicine in my palace? Mo Shanghua glanced at Yan Beicheng's look. Lu Mei frowned gently, but he didn't say anything at all. Yan Beicheng shouts and shouts, then takes his eyes, sits down beside Mo Shanghua, and says in a loud voice, this fake medicine is very important, so we must thoroughly investigate it. As the master of King Yu's mansion, I have to take the responsibility and personally investigate it. Mo Shanghua raised her hand and gently pressed the forehead, which was not painful. She gently reminded, Lord, I just caught the person who changed the fake medicine. What you just saw outside is that. Yan Beicheng's lips were stiff. Seeing that everyone was looking at himself, he felt a little embarrassed. He said hastily, how can we make such a hasty decision? This change of fake medicine is related to the life of the princess. You need to investigate carefully. Otherwise, others think that the king doesn't even care about the affairs of the princess. Having said that, he looked at Zhang Wan with great significance and said, "Go, and bring in the people from outside first, and then you will tell the matter in detail." When Zhang Wan saw this, he was not afraid at all. He slowly came forward and asked people to bring Wang Cai in. Then he deliberately made a long speech and told the story again. Yan Beiqing's character of the heat in the past 3 minutes, he thought he knew better. He said so intentionally. The stupid prince certainly didn't want to continue to listen. Sure enough, in a short time, Yan Beiqing showed his impatience, but in order to save some face, he forced himself to listen. Zhang Wang looked at the flower's face, knowing that he was impatient, but deliberately said, "Please make up your mind." It suddenly occurred to me that some of my official business had not been dealt with. Yan Beiqing leaned on the back of his chair with a headache, waved his hand, and said, "The princess is seriously ill, housekeeper. You are the person who knows the matter most except the princess. This case will be handled by the housekeeper. Please let me see the result as soon as possible." No one paid attention to his eyes, which seemed to be quiet and could be seen to the end, but they flickered a little, and the dark light passed in a moment. Zhang Wan's heart was filled with pride, and he bent over to salute. "I'm sure I won't disgrace my life. Please rest assured." All right, let's go first." After a pause, Yan Beiqing looked sideways at Mo Shanghua and added casually, "Let the princess have a good rest." After that, without waiting for others to step down, he left first. He didn't say anything to the stranger. He looked perfunctory and indifferent. Mo Shanghua looks at Yan Beiqing's back figure who leaves in a hurry, and sweeps Zhang Wan's eye quietly, and her eyebrows frown gently. Zhang Wan's heart is clearly not in Yu's mansion. How can Yan Beiqing trust him so easily and give Zhang Wan the decision-making power of this matter? Is he really stupid or fake stupid? Chenghuan Pavilion. Hua Qianlu opened the window and said to the outside, "Come on, bring a pot of wine. It's hot." A maid answered outside the door. He was about to close the window when he heard some men gossiping like women as they walked. "Have you heard? Our prince's new princess is still a shrew." "It's not true. I've been tossing about all the time when I'm sick. I've heard that I've killed a lot of servant girls and even concubines who have been made to be small super." "Tut tut, I'm afraid the Lord will suffer from such a fierce man in the future." A few people said very lively, "Flower Thousand Willow originally want to listen to, but that group of people have gone far." He was boring closed the window to go back. "It's said that the princess has caused some trouble again. Now she's wearing a reputation as a shrew." Flower Thousand Willow sighed with folding fan. "Please knock palm, one side toward Yen North City Walk, you this princess, poor really interesting son extremely." Just now the door and window came, and the martial arts practitioners were always hearing and seeing clearly. Naturally, Yan Beiqing also heard those words, but there was no mood fluctuation on his face. He only nodded his head lightly, and then there was no following. However, the bottom of the drooping eyes is a bit dark. The news in the inner courtyard of the deep house spreads so fast. It seems that there are a lot of people with heart in this house. When Hua Qianlu saw that he didn't speak, she was not angry at all. She just approached him and said with a smile, "Now I'm more and more interested in you, princess. Or you can arrange for me to meet your interesting princess sometime." Yan Beiqing's face was so indifferent that his sword eyebrows suddenly wrinkled. "No way." After a pause, he seemed to feel that something was wrong, and added, "She is still ill now. She is not a person. Then I'll go and have a look." Flowers on the face of 1,000 Willows' smile did not reduce, disease to fall like a mountain, in case the future cannot see how to do. Talk a lot. Yan Beiqing frowned and scolded lightly, with a kind of imperceptible displeasure at the bottom of his eyes. He raised his hand and sent a cup of tea to his mouth. He obviously didn't want to continue this topic. Hua Qianlu turned her lips and sat down. Just at this time, the wine came to him. He turned his eyes and poured wine for him. He said, "Otherwise, there are many idle people here. I'll send 2 of them in to serve you as a princess. Of course, it's better to pay more attention by the way, so that you can tell him the funny things about flowers in the street." Yan Beiqing subconsciously wanted to refuse, but on second thought, Huiqianliu people here really have some skills. It's not a bad decision to send them. Although he thought so, he looked at Hua Qianlu with a smile on his face. "You have a lot of idle people here. When I was in Yuangfu, I was the one who raised idle people." Hua Qianlu gritted her teeth and inked for a long time before she said, "The 2 who know how to fight are always good. You just need to send them to her, that is to say, it's okay to do chores. The most important thing is, as long as they are where they are, they can pay attention to her." Yan Beiqing thin lips. This just light hook up, the look in the eye is like long deep you don't see the bottom. Because the ghost had already been found that day, Zhang Wan also made some superficial efforts at random, and produced some so-called evidence, so he convicted the ghost, and took Wang Kai's confession to find Mo Shanghua and Yan Beiqing. To the prince and the princess, the slave has made a clear investigation of this matter. It is true that Wang Kai owes too much gambling debt outside. He was pressed for debt, so he had a bad idea. He quietly changed the good medicinal materials into fake ones to make a profit. Said, and will be a small package of medicinal materials presented up. This is from his room to find out the extra fake medicine. Such evidence, of course, is not to be relied on. Yan Beiqing immediately nodded lazily and said, "It's better for the housekeeper to find out so soon. However, this matter has harmed the princess, so it should be decided by the princess." Mo Shanghua's eyes could not help falling on Yan Beiqing's face. In the ink pupil, there was a bit of Yu micro smoked color, according to the housekeeper. Zhang was in a daze. He lowered his head cleverly. "I dare not speak in vain. It's kind of smart." Mo Shanghua sighed in her heart, but did not show it on her face. After pondering for a while, she said, "Why don't you just keep yesterday's judgment? What do you think of it?" "Nature is excellent." Yan Beiqing nodded casually. "Housekeeper, go ahead, but remember to go far away. Don't come here to pollute people's ears and eyes." "Yes." Zhang should be under the wrong, turning around, the eyes are very hot, the color of satisfaction to show one by one. Mo Shanghua took a look at Yan Beiqing, who was still on the side. She covered her lips and coughed lightly for a while. She said, "I'm too sick. Please come back quickly. Don't give it to you." Yan North City Mao Bottom delimits a few minutes dark color, looked back to glance at the flower on the road one eye. After a long time, he stood up and said, "Since you say so, I will not stay any more. Come and live in Qingju." Qingju, such an elegant name, is the place where Nanha lives. Until Yan Beiqing left, there was no change in the eyebrows and eyes on the street. It was just that the disguised illness was finally collected. Her Mao color is indifferent of C toward Qin Lin, soft voice openings, Snow G's bottom details, check of how. Qin Lin thought for a while, trying to use sign language and Murakami's lips to teach him, and said, "It has been found out. Shueji entered the government a year ago. She is neither in favor nor out of favor. When the Lord is free, he will come to see her." She was a member of Yuzhou's Nanjun family, and her father was the governor of Nanjun, who was a student of Prime Minister Liu. The rest is nothing special. As for the others, the slave also found out that Shueji's mother, he sure, did visit her a few days ago, but did not bring anything. After a pause, he took out a piece of paper with dense words from his sleeve pocket. "This is more detailed information." Mo Shanghua took the materials from Qin Lin, picked out some useful ones for her, read them carefully, and let Qin Lin go down first. She was alone in the room and couldn't help thinking. Prime Minister Liu hates her to the bone. Shueji's father is also a student of Prime Minister Liu's students. He has some connections with Prime Minister Liu, and there are countless connections between them. In addition, Shueji's mother came to visit, and there was ample opportunity to send in the highly toxic and fake medicine. What didn't work was that her mother didn't bring anything in. And then I thought, how can Prime Minister Lu's hand reach here when the sky is high and the emperor is far away? Mo Shanghua thinks for a long time, but the more he thinks, the more confused he feels. He can comb it a little, but he can clear it, but he can't confirm it 100% after all. Thinking of this, her paper-like white lips gently evoke a cold smile. Just as she was thinking, the sudden knock on the door interrupted her thoughts. Princess, here comes Dr. Lu. I see. Mo Shanghua takes back her thoughts and goes to the side hall after preparing. Lu Zheng slightly glanced and nodded to the medicine boy behind him. The medicine boy came over and quickly stepped forward and offered all the herbs in his hand. Lu Zhengyang pointed to the herbs in Yaodong's hands, and his voice was clear and smooth as usual. In order to avoid mistakes in the herbs, this time, I went to catch them and sent them myself. I didn't go through the hands of a third person. The princess can rest assured. Mo Shanghua Mao Guang swept an eye on that medicinal material, the look in Mao is light, did not let a person go to pick up. Lu Zheng, to be honest, doesn't trust him. She just appreciates his medical skills. Seeing this, Lu Zheng understood naturally in his heart. After pondering for a moment, he said, the princess can check it by herself now. Mo Shanghua pale, lips light pursed, if the water ripple eyes, with people do not understand the deep color. For a long time, she suddenly hook lip shallow smile, water eyes but no smile, Liu doctor where words, you have already done so far, how can I doubt those have not? In the meantime, Qinya has been asked to take things away. It's Wei Chen who is worried too much. Lu Zhen quite elegant smile, moreover, even if the princess really doubt, micro-minister is understandable, the princess really don't have to blame. Dr. Lu is really a careful man. Mo Shanghua nodded with a smile and said casually. The princess praised me falsely. Lu Zhen modest should Mao bottom a quiet, micro-minister will also go to give Mrs. Cloud please peace pulse, first leave. Qin Lin, send Dr. Lu out. Mo Shanghua politely answered. When Lu Zheng was far away, she took the medicine back to her house and closed the doors and windows again to let Qinya guard the door. Although got Lu Zheng's guarantee, but Mo Shanghua also dare not trust a person with these words, or patiently unpack each package of medicinal materials to check. The full-bodied fragrance of herbs scattered in the whole room, with a faint taste of sweetness and bitterness, but the flowers on the street seemed to be unconscious. With their keen sense of smell and familiarity with the drugs, they clearly distinguished the authenticity of each package of herbs from the full-bodied fragrance of the room. Lu Zheng didn't lie. There was no adulteration in the medicinal materials he sent this time, and all of them were of the best quality. It was better than the situation of the last time when the true and the false were mixed together and the good and the bad were mixed together. Mo Shanghua just boasted that his careful was just a casual remark, but he didn't expect that it should be true now. Lu Zheng was really careful. Thinking about it, she picked up a small bag of herbs and poured them into the medicine mill to grind them. As a matter of fact, when these medicinal materials were delivered, they were all processed. Usually, they were taken directly to boil the medicine at home. But Mo Shanghua is used to make jedu pills. The rough treatment of these herbs is far from the standard she needs. Mo Shanghua is very skillful in the treatment of medicinal materials, but it took less than half an hour to finish the treatment and began to concentrate on the preparation. It took me 2 hours to make the antidote pill. With half of the amount of medicinal materials, but also made a small medicinal material only. Mo Shanghua's fingertips gently twisted the black pill in his hand, which was only the size of nail cap. His eyes finally showed a slightly relaxed look for the only time in so many days. Take the pill to the mouth. After a while, the soft pill melts in the mouth. With the passage of time, the chest, which would have been in pain when it was poisoned, overflowed with a warm feeling, and then slowly spread from the chest to the 4 limbs, and even the brain became sober. The poison, which has been dormant for many months, is finally cured. Mo Shanghua gently spits out a mouthful of turbid gas. Mao Guangri looks at the remaining drugs on the table. After pondering for a while, she picked up 2 kinds of medicinal materials and utensils again and began to mix the scar-removing ointment. There is no woman who doesn't care about her appearance. Flowers on the street are also women, and naturally they are no exception. In addition, she specially left the highly toxic substance in yesterday's fake medicine to extract the toxin for poison production. There are more than 200 people in the palace of King Yu. All of them are making their own calculations, and the palace of King Yu is full of mysteries. It's no exaggeration to say that the storm is surging secretly. The enemy is in the dark, and she is in the Ming dynasty. If she wants to live in King Yu's mansion for a long time, she must have her own inside information and contacts. She has to make plans for herself. She had a hunch that the poison would be used sooner or later. Of course, if you want to have the details, naturally you can't stick to a Little Yu's mansion. She also needs to go out and have a look. Mo Shanghua has been thinking about this idea for a long time. Now that the poison on her body has been removed, she has been told that she has recovered. Then she leads Qin Lin, Qin Ye, and a young man out of the house of King Yu. He lived in Yuzhou for many years and was very familiar with Yuzhou city. Therefore, Mo Shanghua asked him to lead the way all the way, followed him and looked at the situation of Yuzhou city secretly. Yuzhou city was only a little smaller than the emperor, but the bustle during the period was worse than half. Yuzhou is a remote city between the desert edge and the barren Lus slope. It is desolate on both sides, so Yuzhou is not much better. In this way, it is the best of the 4 desolate border cities in the Kingdom of God. Most of the buildings in the street are made of civil engineering. The houses are relatively low and the windows are very small. I'm afraid of sand. Except for these, other places are similar to the houses in the imperial capital. However, only half of these houses are built by civil engineering. In the other quarter of the city, earth houses are still built, and the soil on the walls can be scraped off with a shovel. As for the remaining 1/8 of Li, it is the place where the officials built with glazed tiles live. From the outside, you can see that it must be magnificent inside. Even the doormen's clothes are much better than the people in the city. The gap between the rich and the poor is not big. There are not many people who set up stalls on the streets. Even the people who go to the streets are only a few. Compared with the imperial capital, they are tens of times worse. Mo Shanghua moves her steps behind the peddler. When she passes by the peddler, her eyes can't help sweeping the people in front of the peddler and the peddler's boss. I saw that none of these people were wearing coarse clothes, but the women were covered with headscarves. It was strange to see them. The flower on the street glanced a little. Before asking, Qin Ye asked, "Why do these people cover so tightly?" "We have a lot of dust. It's just sand-proof for women." The boy turns his head to answer eagerly, and Qin Lin explains it to Qin Ye with sign language. The flower on the street nodded a little, and her eyes fell on the caravan that came far away. "These people in strange clothes are people who do business in other countries?" "Yes." The young man nodded and said with a flattering smile, "The princess doesn't know. Our Yuzhou city is near the border of other countries. The caravans from other countries will come to rest more or less. If we don't make good use of such a great advantage, Yuzhou city will be barren. What is Yanbei city thinking all day long? Is it hard to just look for flowers and willows?" Looking for flowers and willows. The flower water Mao on the Mo lightly flashed a dark light. The footstep Tiny Dun lives. Where is your this place of seeking flowers and asking willows? I've seen the prosperity of King Yu's mansion, the place where people live, and the streets. But now there is no place where people look for flowers and willows. I'm afraid that such a place is also prosperous and rich. She needs to go and have a look. When she came out today, it happened that Yanbei city went to seek flowers and willows again, so she was able to come out on the ground of seeking Yanbei city. Now when she asked about the land of seeking flowers and willows, I just thought I had enough flowers on the street. Now I'm going to find the Lord, and my heart suddenly shakes. The name of the flower on the street is fierce and vicious, but the whole Yuzhou city knows it well. If you come here now, you won't make the Lord look good. If you annoy the Lord, you will even be involved. But in the current situation, how dare he not? After hesitating for a long time, the boy bit his teeth and said, "Princess, this way, please." The flower on the street put the boy's expression into the bottom of his eyes, but he couldn't see it. He hurriedly followed him. The luxury of this place is hundreds of times better than that of other places. It can even be said that it is a place every day. Mo Shanghua was dressed as a woman, with 3 people following her. However, as soon as she stepped into the land of smoke and willows, she attracted a large number of eyes. Qinya is a thin-skinned man. She blushes at the moment, but she still doesn't say much. She lowers her head and follows the flowers in the street. Hua Qianlu, as early as in the street, just as Hua stepped into the street, he received the news and went downstairs early, waiting to see the excitement on the first floor of Qinghuan Pavilion. Mo Shanghua was stopped by 2 girls before she could step into Qinghuan Pavilion, the first red chamber in Yuzhou. One of them, with pink face and peach cheek, was not right when he saw the posture of flowers on the street. He blocked her way and said, "Madam, we are looking for flowers and willows. Women can't enter. You'd better go back." "Oh." The flower on the street drew a long ending, slightly raised her eyes and glanced at the woman. "Why can't you enter? Can't a woman look for flowers and ask for willows?" This. The woman obviously didn't expect that the answer of Mo Shanghua was so strange that she couldn't find any words to refute. Mo Shanghua vermilion lip angle micro can't check of light hook for a while, lift a step to want to bypass a woman in the past. Seeing this, another woman quickly grabbed the arm of Mo Shanghua and raised her voice, "You can't go in. If you disturb others, don't say we can't even afford you." When the flower eyes on the street were cold, they looked at the woman with frozen eyes, and their voice was slightly cold. "It turns out that you, the first red mansion in Yuzhou, are such a way of hospitality." As soon as the voice fell, the woman also gave a cold hum and said in a sharp voice, "I think you've come here to find fault. Somebody, throw them out." Having said that, the potential darkness of the big men, they are quietly surrounded up, will spend a group of people firmly surrounded in the street. The flower eyes on the street are covered with a layer of awe-inspiring color. Between the white fingers, a few silver needles are covered in an instant. In the bright light, there is a faint chill. The flower willow sitting in the building watching the play, eyes sharp fell on the silver needle between her fingers, eyes interest immediately more rich. Qinya was so scared that she quickly stopped in front of Mo Shanghua and said, "I'm blind. This is Princess Yu. Who dares to move?" Seeing this, Qin Lin hurriedly took out the money card of King Yu's house and held it up to the woman. Woman Leng Leng, after a while, pale down, busy blessing body down, "People don't know, Princess forgive, Princess forgive." The rest of the people looked at the scene, and before they had time to kneel down, Hua Qianlu suddenly rang in front of the quiet door with a lazy voice. "Who am I? It turns out that I am the one rumored recently Princess Yu." In the middle of the speech, he swallowed the word shrew, which was about to be blurted out, and his face looked a little coy for a moment. The cold color in the flower eyes on the street is slightly astringent, and I look along the direction of the sound. I saw that Hua Qianlu was dressed in a big red shirt with a beautiful face. When I walked, I did not forget to open the folding fan in my hand and put it in my hand. Every move was unique. When the woman and the people around her saw him, they all saluted with good fortune, and their reaction speed was faster than when they just arrived at the flower. The silver needle between the fingers of the flower on the street suddenly closed and put the reaction of the people around him into the bottom of his eyes. Suddenly, the water eyes were a little surprised. The tortoise was like this. Isn't it a duck shop? The brothel is not the bustard, but the tortoise. Anyway, it's still such a beautiful man, which makes me wonder. Unexpectedly, Hua Qianlu smiles instead of anger and shakes the folding fan to come forward. What am I like this? Well, he was born very beautiful, and his facial features were exquisite, which was 3 points more beautiful than that of a woman. At this time, he deliberately teased her, and his eyebrows and eyes were stained with the charming color of a woman. All the people in the audience could not help breathing, and their eyes showed the color of obsession. The flower on the street is clear from the beginning to the end. He gives him a look, and his voice is indifferent and cold. I just praise you. Thank you very much. Hua Qianliu's smile deepened. She closed the folding fan in her hand and gently touched her cheek. Your facial features are pretty good. Apart from the scars, he could see that her features were really beautiful. However, his every move was meant to be frivolous. Such a blatant molestation, if you change to be a woman on one side, I'm afraid she will blush or go away with shame. But she is not an ordinary woman. She is a shrew that has been widely spread recently. For a moment, people's eyes could not help falling on her, a look of waiting to see a good play. The flowers on the street are just cold eyes, with thousands of willows, and the bottom of water eyes is filled with a touch of color of exploration. Although Hua Qianlu looks frivolous and rude, he walks steadily and briskly. At a glance, he knows that he has excellent martial arts skills. She only looks at those fox eyes, and she can see that he is not simple. Just as she was thinking about it, Hua Qianlu stepped forward and gently raised her delicate jaw with a folding fan. The corners of her lips were full of frivolous smiles. Why, but I was fascinated by my child's appearance. I can't say anything shy. Seeing that Hua Qianliu's behavior became more and more bold, the people around him became more and more interested, and they all stared at him. The flower on the street is slightly stunned, and the vermilion lip moves. I don't know what I think of. If it has already rolled into my mouth, I swallow it again. Just when people think that the flowers on the street are shy and at a loss, a needle of noise suddenly comes from the second floor. The crowd on the second floor, which is crowded with people, makes way for a narrow passage. But Yan Beiqing came out of the crowd holding a beautiful woman. He stood on the second floor and looked down. When he saw the scene below, he couldn't help raising his voice and said with a bit of surprise, "How did you come here?" As he spoke, he seemed to see the flower willows on the folding fan which had not been taken back. His eyes suddenly changed. He left the beauty behind and hurried downstairs. He frowned discontentedly. You are a woman from all over the world. You came here quietly behind my king. Don't you want to put a green hat on my king, princess? Princess, 2 words he bite very heavy, full of a pair of although don't like flowers, but also can't tolerate her and others have an fair appearance. When Hua Qianlu saw this, he knew that Yan Beiqing was starting to act again. When he got excited, he closed the folding fan and said with a smile, "It's said that the prince and the princess don't care about it. Now how can they be willing to leave the warm and fragrant nephrite?" The flower on the street glanced at the willows, moved 2 steps to the side quietly, and said in a cold voice, "The tortoise is really powerful. He even knows a lot about things in the palace." Flower thousand willow don't think of smile, fox eyes slightly curved, where, but is the city people all know things. Before the flowers on the street could speak, Yan Beiqing turned black. Aren't you 2 dead when we are king? How dare you, how dare you? Maybe it was because of anger, but he turned red and couldn't say what he said. The flower on the street frowned lightly, and her voice was puzzled. We just said a few words. Why are you so excited? Mo Shanghua has never experienced this kind of feelings in her previous life. She is usually busy with her work and has little time to make up for soap operas and dog blood novels. Therefore, she is extremely slow in this respect. I can't figure out why she is not very friendly with Hua Qianlu. What is it worth him to be angry about? People with a clear eye can see what they know, but they don't know what flowers on the street are. This makes Yan Beiqing suddenly blow up his hair and say angrily, You are so rotten. I don't want to talk to you, ugly woman." Hua Qianlu seldom sees Yan Beiqing pretending. Now she is not happy. She can't help but come forward and poke in a joke, "Tut tut, it seems that the rumor is wrong. The prince still cares about the princess, but the princess, tut." The meaning between words is self-evident. It's none of your business. Yen North City quite some impatient and depraved interrupt, Mao Bottom once crossed a touch of not easy to detect of charmed and quiet color. Talk a lot. Mo Shanghua's heart light Siyu spits out a word, then crosses Yan Beicheng and walks towards Chenghuan Pavilion. Just took 2 steps, Yan Beicheng grabbed her white wrist and said, "What are you doing?" Mo Shanghua's steps had to stop, but his eyes had no waves and no waves. He said in a light voice, "I've wasted a long time. I should go in and have a look." With these words, people thought that she was going to go in and catch the woman Yan Beicheng had held before. They immediately sighed. Even the girl could not help but turn white. Yan North City obviously also thought of this, busy block in front of her, coldly looking at her. "You make enough, don't want in disgrace, now with the king back." The next second, Mo Shanghua only feels the strength between the wrists, and the whole person can't help being pulled forward by Yan Beicheng. She was stunned for a moment, and her water eyes were staring at Yan Beicheng's back. When the reaction came, the whole person had already reached the threshold. She didn't know what to think in her heart. The hand that she wanted to struggle actually stopped and let him pull her away. Hua Qianlu shakes the folding fan and follows to the door. Looking at the flowers on the street pulled by Yan Beicheng, the radiance of her thin lips expands slowly, but she sighs in a low voice. This boy's accomplishments in acting are really incomparable to ordinary people. Mo Shanghua was directly brought back to the palace by Yan Beicheng, and then continuously brought to the dockyard. But she held her hand firmly, but she didn't relax. His eyes full of anger turned around and said, "You all go down." Everyone answered, and after a while, they retreated completely. Only Qin Lin and Qin Ya, both of whom are worried, look at the flowers in the street and refuse to leave. Mo Shanghua knew their loyalty. She shook her head and gave them a reassuring look. Seeing this, Qin Lin and Qin Ya retreated in 3 steps. 2 talents just went out. Yan North City pulled Mo Shanghua to the bedside, pushed her to the bed, the whole person followed down. The flower on the street only feels a heavy burden on her body. When she raises her eyes, she knows that she looks into a pair of clear eyes, but there are some inexplicable angry eyes that she can't understand. Her eyebrows can't help but slightly frown. Yan Beicheng is learning to just spend the appearance of 1,000 willows, gently holding her jaw, voice low. "You come to Chenghuan Pavilion today, do you want to sleep this king?" "What are you talking about?" Mo Shanghua looked at him in surprise, and her eyes were a little puzzled. Yan Beicheng snorted discontentedly. He put his hands beside her ears and drew the distance between them closer. "What did you say, don't you know?" Warm breathing all spray on the cheek, crisp itching feeling, let Mo Shanghua heart frown more tightly, can't help but say, "You get up." After hearing this, Yan Beicheng simply stopped and put all the weight of her body on her. His stubborn hum ignored her words. Childish. Mo Shanghua was silent and cursed in her heart. She didn't want to make trouble with him. She put her hands on his chest and pushed him away. But unexpectedly, she just ready to get up, Yan Beicheng somehow, a hook in the long arm, pulled her to his arms, heavily fell on his chest. A sense of insecurity suddenly appeared in the flower heart on the street. Subconsciously, he hit him on the chest with his elbow. He got up and made a fist with his right hand and hit him on his white right cheek. Yan Beicheng's white right cheek suddenly became red and swollen at the speed visible to the naked eye. He could not help howling in pain. Qin Lin, who is hiding outside the door and eavesdropping on it, describes it to Qin Ya. They are completely relieved, but they secretly sweat for Yan Beicheng. As for the other servants, the expression on their faces was very delicate. They were busy raising their ears and quietly paying attention to the movement outside. At this time, the situation inside has reversed. Yan Beicheng howled miserably and faintly, and he didn't know what to do. For no reason, he pulled back the flower in the street, and pressed her on him again. Mo Shanghua raised her eyes and looked at Yan Beicheng, who was pressed on her body. She felt a little impatient. This time, she shook him up with her palm force. Then she grabbed her collar and threw him out of bed. When Yan Beicheng fell to the ground, there was another burst of crying and howling, which made the servants outside the room laugh. Mo Shanghua has a clear ear and a clear eye. She listens to the outside smile. Her ears turn red for no reason. In her heart, she doesn't want to entangle with Yan Beicheng. She turns over from her bed and walks away. But the next moment, the tall figure and there is a rush. He pressed the flower's thin shoulder and forced it back. Mo Shanghua's face changed. Just now, she didn't feel his half-step, so she didn't have time to dodge. With such force, she could not help stepping back and faltering. However, with a faltering effort, Yan Beicheng somehow came to her side. He put his right foot behind her left foot. He took advantage of the skillful force to pick up the flowers on the street, and then he went back. There was a breeze in her ear. The flower on the street looked up. Where I could see was Yan Beicheng's ugly face. Her white fingers suddenly lifted up and held on to his collar. The next moment, they fell to the ground together. It's okay for Mo Shanghua to make this human flesh cushion, but Yan Beicheng, who had nothing to do with it, cried and howled again, and had no masculinity at all. Mo Shanghua is bored in his heart. He just kicks Yan Beicheng's jaw, which makes him cry more miserable. Yan North City called twice, then revenge-like climb over, again with the Mo Shanghua entangled together. His actions have no rules to speak of, but I don't know why, often can be inexplicably suppressed. For a time, the two were also entangled in the fight for a long time. Mo Shanghua can't keep up with his physical strength now. After a while, he feels a little exhausted. Fortunately, Yan Beicheng couldn't support himself anymore. He collapsed on the ground with a black and blue face, panting and shouting, "No, no, I'm tired to death." Mo Shanghua see this, then also shuns step and down, in his side of the weak lie down, small mouth of breathing. After the rest, she could not help thinking in her heart. Her martial arts are not bad. How can Yan Beicheng, who has no martial arts and only relies on brute force, check and balance with her for so long? This alone was enough for her to confirm that he was not as simple as what she saw on the surface. Thinking, she can't help but turn her eyes to see the flowers on the street. In her eyes, there is a light color. It suddenly occurred to her that she would rather cooperate with Yan Beicheng and borrow his name as King Yu to pave the way for herself, instead of taking advantage of him and making fun of Yan Beicheng. Of course, she won't just make a big injustice in Yan Beicheng. She believes that this will be a mutually beneficial transaction. She is confident that Yan Beicheng will not refuse it. Although the heart has made a decision, but Mo Shanghua's heart is still a bit bottomless, can't help but turn his eyes to see Yan Beicheng lying on the side of the body, eyes light hidden with a bit complex. Yan Beicheng seemed to feel her sight and couldn't help turning his head. "What do you do when you look at me like this? Is there any flour on my face?" "Flowers?" The flowers on the street smell words, the Mao light can't help but sweep a circle on his cheek. Originally, there was a blood birthmark on his face, which was not very good looking. Now, because of her kicking, swelling, blue and purple, it's really like a 5-color palette. The flower on the street suddenly feels that it can't help laughing, and tears out a smile from the corner of the lip. Hearing the speech, Yan Beicheng quickly raised his hand and touched his cheek. As soon as his hand touched his jaw, he cried out in pain. The flower on the street saw this and laughed even more happily. Her eyebrows and eyes all bent up. Yan Beicheng's painful facial features were all tangled up, but he still reluctantly opened his eyes to see the flowers on the street. Seeing that she was so happy, he didn't know why and couldn't get half a breath. "You ugly woman, it is rare to laugh like this. It's more beautiful than a wooden face." He sighed a little in his heart, but his face was filled with the opposite wonder. On the road flower lips radiant shu of Emil, can't help but launch Leng. In this case, she has not heard it for a long time. It turns out that she has not laughed so wantonly for a long time. "Well, I'm praising you. What's your attitude?" Yan North City 2 elbow half prop up a body, the full eye discontented color of looking at her. Mo Shanghua raised her eyes and looked at his bruised face. After a moment's silence, she turned her head and said, "Oh. You." Yan Beicheng was angry and looked at her for a while with gnashing teeth. Then he let out a breath and laid back lazily. It's really boring. Mo Shanghua really has no psychological meaning. After staring at the overhanging beam over his head for a long time, he suddenly sits up and looks at Yan Beicheng lying on the ground seriously. I have a business to talk with you. Yan Beicheng lazily raised his eyelids and glanced at the stranger. What business do you talk with me? I have nothing to give you. The clear eye bottom is but faintly gush out a few fan interest. Mo Shanghua has long been used to her like this. She doesn't care at all. Her voice is indifferent and cold. It's very simple. You use your identity as King Yu to be my backer, and my chips. After a pause, she reflected in her eyes, my chip is to eradicate all forces in your house. What do you think? Ben lay on the ground, a lazy Yan Beicheng, thin lips suddenly raised a smile, the laughter was deep and pleasant. In fact, those forces are nothing in his eyes. If he wanted to eradicate them, he would have done it long ago. Now it's just not the time. This woman is really good at business. The flower eyebrow heart on the Mo lightly cu rises, in the Mao-pan rises the color of a few fan don't understand. What do you smile? Nothing. Yan Beicheng answered casually, turned over and sat up from the ground. You are just a woman, how can you eradicate it? There is no difference between the tone and the words heard by ordinary men. The flowers on the street turn to open their eyes and sweep a basin of daisies not far away, gently sipping their lips, never opening their mouth. How to deal with it, she naturally has her way. You can't even talk about how to eradicate it. Don't you have this ability at all? You just want to cajole me to help you. Yen North City Mao bottom once crossed the color of a few minutes tease, tone intentionally took a few minutes don't believe. I don't say anything I'm not sure about. The delicate jaw of the flower on the street is gently raised, and the eyes are full of confidence. Yen North City Mao bottom contains smile, but still don't believe on the face, this king don't believe, unless you prove to this king to see, or change a side of chip. Proof. What's next? The flower's eyes on the street were a little frozen, and his face was slightly cold. It's better to make it clear that the Lord wants me to prove or change chips, so that I don't think the Lord is too greedy and wants both. I didn't say that. Besides, those forces in the mansion, although they are not in my mansion, will never threaten my position. It's the same for me to eradicate them or not. Yan Beicheng turned his lips and opened his mouth with indifference. After a pause, his eyes were a little bright, and he looked for a circle on the flower face of the stranger. He said with a smile, it's better for you to change chips. Look at you, although your face is not good, your posture. He did not continue to say the following words, but it was self-evident. The flower face on the road immediately cage a layer of annoyance, not polite direct to elbow for fist, toward him then hit in the past. Yan Beicheng screamed without accident and fell to the ground. The apprentice. Mo Shanghua looks at Yan Beicheng coldly, and then stands up, unwilling to talk nonsense with him. She really thinks too much. Yan Beicheng is a rogue. How can she expect to negotiate with such a rogue? Wait. Before he took 2 steps, Yan Beicheng got up behind him and unexpectedly said, I promise you. The flower on the street steps slightly, turns around and looks at Yanbei City behind him, with a look of surprise. Yan Beicheng didn't notice her look. He just rubbed his aching waist and abdomen and muttered in a low voice, ferocious, I've really had bad luck for 8 generations before I married you home. Mo Shanghua automatically ignored his words and walked to his side, say, what conditions do you want? Sit down and say with that, he sat back on the ground and patted himself by the way. The flower on the street nodded, and then sat in the past without embarrassment. Yan Beicheng didn't open his mouth. He just covered his waist and abdomen. He lingered until the eyebrows of the stranger frowned again. Then he could open his mouth. What you said before is feasible, but I have an additional condition now. If you agree, our business will be finished. If you don't agree, it will be over. Tell me, what are the conditions? Mo Shanghua pondered for a moment, slightly coagulated his eyes to see him. I want you to help Wang save a man. Yan Beicheng's face was a little bit of a dandy, and his face was a little bit of a dandy. Why should I help you? Mo flower eyes across a few suspicions, the heart secretly sounded the alarm. Since she came to Yu's mansion, she only knew about Lu Zheng. Could it be spread so quickly? Or is there a connection between Yan Beicheng and the cloaker? I met Lu Zheng a few days ago, and I asked you 2 questions about your illness, but he told me that you know the art of medicine. There was a dark color at the bottom of Yanbei City's eyes, but his face was as usual. The flower on the street gently pursed the scarlet lip petals, looked down and thought for a long time, then nodded under his gaze. I promise you. Yan Beicheng got the result he wanted, but he didn't plan to stay any longer. He left the room in a hurry and said, Come on, now let's ask Lu Zheng to wait for Ben Wang in his study. He was wearing a black and bruised pig's head and face. When the servants saw it, they knew what it was because of. They tried to suppress their smile and ran away. All the servants on duty outside the house looked up at Yan Beicheng's face. When they saw it clearly, they all lowered their heads and held back their smiles. It is clear that the prince pulled the princess in with an angry face, but now the prince came out with a black face. The princess really deserves to be a shrew. The next day, in the short time of one night, the reputation of the shrew rose to a higher level. According to the rumor, Princess Yu took dozens of people to Qinghuan Pavilion to kill 6 generals last night. She seized the King Yu who was having fun there, took him back to the palace and pulled him into her house. During this period, the screams in the house were incessant. When King Yu came out, he was black and blue. After hearing this, the people in Yuzhou City sympathized with Yan Beicheng, but they just laughed. At night, Yan Beicheng went to the sleeping hall of Mo Shanghua, holding back all the servants in her room. He didn't talk much. He took her to the bed and groped for a while in the position of her bed against the wall. Then, I don't know where I pressed it, and there was a slight click on the wall. Then, I slowly moved to both sides. After a while, a dark hole was exposed for one person to enter and leave. The strange color of flowers on the street said in a soft voice, How can there be a secret way in my room? Don't think about it. Keep up. Yan Beicheng turned around and gave her a mysterious smile. Then he bowed and entered the cave. Mo Shanghua see this, also not dawdle, busy with up. As soon as they got in, the entrance of the cave would click again and close again. The silence in the room was restored, and no one could see anything unusual. Although the entrance of the secret passage was small, there was something else in it. They walked side by side without crowding. Mo Shanghua walks in the body side of Yan Beicheng, Mao Guang involuntarily looks up in the cave. The walls of the secret passage are all paved with bluestones. For convenience, a hole will be made every other distance to place the wall lamp. The inside of the secret passage is also very clean, and there is not much dust. It can be seen that the secret passage has not been abandoned for long. Don't hurt to look at Yan Beicheng beside you. There's something calm in your eyes. Her previous conjecture was true. This person was not as simple as she had seen. Yan Beicheng, however, seemed to be unaware of it. He walked silently all the way. He only took a candlestick from the wall. After walking in the dark passage for a long time, they climbed out of a dry well. Mo Shanghua looked up and saw that the houses here were made of earth, and the roofs were covered with grass and mud. She knew that this place should be in the north of the city, the poorest part of the city, but it was almost half the distance from the palace in the city. Yan Beicheng, with such a noble personality, was tired and didn't shout. He took him to a mud hut beside the dry well, pushed the door open and went in. As soon as I entered the room, my nose was covered with a strong smell of medicine. After smelling it carefully, the flowers in the street smelled some rotten smell under the cover of medicine, and I felt a sense of uncertainty. Mao Guang looks along the bed and sees a middle-aged man lying on the earthen kong, closing his eyes and dying. The most terrible and disgusting thing is that the man is covered with chickenpox-like things, which almost envelopes the whole person. Some of the chickenpox have even been broken, and the wound shows light yellow and bloodshot liquid. Seems to feel someone coming, the man opened his eyes and sat up. It's you. After a pause, his eyes fell on the flower. Who is this? This is the doctor. Don't move. Let her have a good look at your illness. Yan Beiqing put the back of his hand behind him and said in a low voice. The man nodded, then leaned against the wall behind him, not moving. Mo Shanghua then walked to the earthen Kong and gave the man a very serious look up and down, but the color behind suddenly changed and exited the house. Yen North City in the heart tiny sink, hurriedly pursued to go out. How? In the heart an answer already faintly emerged. Similar to the modern African Raman virus plague, Mo Shanghua held the wall with one hand and slowed down for a while. Then he turned to look at him. What this man got is not an ordinary disease, but an infectious disease named Raman, which is similar to the plague, but the disease is different. The color of the dandy on the surface of Yan Beiqing was clean, and the deep part of his eyes was slowly stained with a kind of unpredictable and treacherous color. Can it be cured? In addition, he is more suspicious of the identity of Mo Shanghua. He invited so many people, but he could not make a definite diagnosis. Now he just took a look at Mo Shanghua, and then he knew it. It can be seen that his medical skill is very good. How could a person with such high medical skills be the woman who was raised in the boudoir? Mo Shanghua pondered for a long time, her ruddy lips moved and her voice was low. It's better to burn people as soon as possible. This disease is too infectious. Yen North City heart a shock, into the temple soared eyebrow deep frown, really no way? As a matter of fact, he had expected for a long time. After all, he had already invited most of those he could, and no one could be cured. But this person's identity is too special to die. Mo Shanghua looks up at Yan Beiqing. Seeing that he looks like this, he knows that he is afraid to be an important person. Silent for a long time, she was very serious, word by word of mouth. Yan Beiqing, I have to tell you, the infectious strength of this disease is you can't imagine big. Once infected, I'm afraid the whole Yuzhou city people will inevitably suffer. In larger, it can't be too much to say that it can endanger the whole kingdom of God. That's right. Burning is the best way. After a word, Yan Beiqing could not help being silent. People in this world have never been kind to him. What do these people have to do with him? It's just his identity. He was doomed not to die. After thinking for a long time, Yan Beiqing raised his head again, and his lips seemed to be smiling. I didn't expect that you ugly woman is really a kind-hearted doctor. Even the life and death of those unrelated people are always thinking about. Mo Shanghua stares at Yan Beiqing's lips, suddenly thinks that he has met the cloaker, and his eyes are slightly fixed. When he looks at him, he just turns his mouth, looking a little angry. Even so, she still had some doubts in her heart, but she didn't break them. Her face was frozen. You are the leader of Yuzhou. I'm just afraid that I'm worried about the life and death of your people. I'll remind you. Don't say it's useless. I just ask you whether you can cure it or not. Yen North City slightly droops a head, particularly serious stare at him, mouth bottom faintly surging a few minutes dark color. The flowers and willow eyebrows on the street frown gently, and a touch of deep thinking color is dyed in the water eyes. Although she was a doctor of medicine in her previous life, this kind of case was only seen in the copy. She only had a certain understanding and had real contact with it. If she really wanted to be treated, she had no bottom in her heart. After all, Raman's infectivity is too strong, and the risk factor is great for everyone. She is not a virgin. There is no need to lose her life because of an unrelated person. But now, she is to accept the words of Yan Beiqing. The trade between the two is still, those chips, is really attractive. The flower heart in the street is constantly calculating the value of this business, hesitating in the heart, struggling incomparably. Yan Beiqing collected all her looks into his eyes. He knew that he was waiting patiently for her to think for a while, but he didn't see the result, so he said, if you can cure this person, I will give you $1,000, and the other conditions are still the same. 1,000 gold. This is not a small windfall. If she wants to do something in Yuzhou City, it will be convenient for her to have this money to pave the way for a long time. Mo Shanghua is fretting in her heart. Now she secretly thinks about what she can do after she has money. It has to be said that this gold examination is really tempting to her, which makes her feel moved and curious. What's the identity of that man? Is Yan Beiqing so willing? Mo Shanghua thought so, then naturally looked at Yan Beiqing and said, "Who is that person? You can even throw out the thousands of medical fees at will?" Yan Beiqing's sword eyebrows wrinkled slightly, which seemed to be deep in his eyes. Seeing that he didn't answer, he understood it. He didn't ask any more. He straightened his face. When did this person's pox and rash start? Do you have the symptoms of sore throat and headache? Every day, Yan Beiqing called people to see the patient. Of course, he was very clear. After a little thought, he said, "I began to get sick 5 days ago. I have sore throat and headache." Mo Shanghua's delicate mandible was slightly touched. After thinking about it, he said, "When did the pox rash begin to split and fester?" All these things are related to the person's life. She needs to ask carefully. About 2 days ago. Mo Shanghua thought about it, then took out a brocade handkerchief from his sleeve, covered his nose and mouth, and entered the house again. At this time, the man had gone to sleep again. Seeing this, the flower on the street also looked at it carefully, and put a silk handkerchief on the man's wrist to isolate it. He diagnosed the pulse condition for the man. Only in his heart did he have a bit of bottom. Ramen disease has always been not just look at the appearance, performance and how serious, as long as the internal disease gas does not send, it is temporarily nothing. Thinking of this, Mo Shanghua went out again and looked at Yan Beiqing. This man's disease is still dormant, and he won't die in a short time. After a pause, she explained some herbs and utensils needed for medical treatment, and asked him to prepare them first. When the preparation was almost complete, he would be treated again. Although Yan Beiqing didn't understand, he still wrote down what she said and ordered people to guard here quietly. Then they went back to the palace quietly. After returning to the mansion, Mo Shanghua didn't rush to read the ancient books and seek treatment. Instead, he drove Yan Beiqing back to have a rest. It was not until the next morning that she went to Lu Zheng's medical room. At that time, Lu Zheng was sitting in front of the case, helping a boy feel his pulse. Mo Shanghua stands in front of the house and sees that he is actually helping the boy to feel his pulse. There is a bit of surprise in his eyes. Not to mention in King Yu's residence, even in the ordinary rich family, there is no doctor willing to see the servant girl in the mansion. Lu Zheng is not shy at all, but he is really a real doctor. Thinking of this, she stopped the drug boy who wanted to report and just stood at the door waiting. Lu Zhengyu glanced at the flowers on the street, but he didn't move. He lowered his eyes and felt his pulse. When he was asked to take medicine for him, he stood up and bowed. "I've been so impolite just now. I hope the princess will forgive me. People's lives are important. It's better to do something." The flowers on the street walk in, with a cool face and no sense of blame. Everything is done without going to the Temple of Three Treasures. Few flowers from the street will come here. This time, Lu Zheng's mind has already guessed, but he doesn't show anything. He just makes a gesture of inviting, "Princess, please come inside." Mo Shanghua nodded her chin, helped her sleeve and sat down on the seat beside her. "Tea for the princess." Lu Zhen politely smiles, takes the 2 tea cups handed over by the medicine boy, and personally goes to the tea and pushes them to the flowers on the street. Mo Shanghua held the tea cup in his hand, but he didn't drink it. He coughed twice and then said, "To tell you the truth, I went out a few days ago, and I was cold again. Now I'm not very well. I always have a headache these days." After a pause, she thought a little at the bottom of her eyes, "There's a servant girl in our hospital. Now she's suffering from dysentery. I've seen it, but it's not very serious. I just want to trouble you to make a prescription. This is my duty. Why bother to say that the princess is overpraised?" Lu Zhen lowered his eyebrows and said with a respectful smile, While speaking, he waved to the drug boy behind him. The drug boy responded and went down in a hurry. After a while, he took up all the pens and papers. Lu Zheng raised her eyes and looked at the face of the flower on the street. She said that she was unwell, but her eyes were still clear. She knew it in her heart, but she didn't know it. She said, "The princess should be suffering from the cold. I will prescribe medicine for you and the servant girl." Mo Shanghua's delicate mandible is slightly knotted, holding the teacup, drooping eyes and drinking shallowly. Lu Zheng is really a thorough person. If he knows he shouldn't ask, he will ask. It's said that he has been in the palace for several years. It's normal for him to be so smooth. It was during the deliberation that Lu Zheng skillfully wrote down the prescription and handed the 2 copies to her. "The princess herself knows the art of medicine, and please have a look. There is something wrong with it." "Good." The flower in the street whispered and took the 2 prescriptions. She first looked at the prescription for the treatment of wind cold. After reading it, she frowned and said, "Dr. Lu, I don't know. I've been weak since I was a child. This time, I just recovered from a serious illness, and then I got sick again. I'm afraid that the efficacy is not enough. Don't add some snow ginseng, zhuyuan, qianbu. These are all nourishing things. Since then, I think they can also be used." Although these things she said seem to be tonic, their efficacy is linked to the treatment of wind and cold. They are all complementary drugs, but their importance has nothing to do with dispelling cold. As soon as Lu Zhengfang heard it, he also heard the reason, but he just didn't know. He made a sudden look. What the princess said is reasonable. It's really Lu Zheng's negligence that he forgot that the princess had just recovered from a serious illness, so it's really time to fight. Such an obvious loophole, ordinary doctors may not see, but Lu Zheng's medical skills, how can not see? Mo Shanghua knows it in her heart, but she just smiles and hands the prescription to Lu Zheng again. Wu Zi picks up another prescription and looks at it. "After reading it, I found a way to add more herbs to it." Lu Zhengquan did not know, asked Mo Shanghua, determined that there was no problem with the prescription, then handed the prescription to Yao Tong, told him to go to the medicine. "Wait a minute." Before Yao Tong went far away, he stopped himself and looked at Lu Zheng apologetically. "I've been suffering from insomnia recently. I just looked at it for a moment. I used to use it in the past. I've also brought it. I'm sorry to trouble Lu Yui." Then he took out the prescription from his sleeve and handed it to Lu Zheng. This time, Lu Zheng just looked at it formally, and handed it to Yao Tong. "Let's do it together." "Yes." The medicine boy answered and went down. The things that should be ordered have already been ordered. The flower in the street had little words, so it was silent again. The room was silent for a long time. Only the voice of the medicine boy opening the medicine cabinet was clear in his ears. Lu Zheng, who had been silent for a while, looked up and said, "Steward Zhang, since the last fake medicine incident, has not only taken care of the affairs in the mansion, but also the princess's body. Yesterday, he came to ask the princess about your body." In the heart of flowers on the street, suddenly a sink, deep in the eyes of water, Yang opened a touch of black ink. Zhang Wang has already begun to inquire about her physical condition. It seems that he is suspicious of her. However, whether Lu Zheng's words are intentional or unintentional really remains to be studied. However a mind electricity turns, the flower heart in the Mo passes a few kinds of conjectures slightly. See Lu Zheng's Mao Guang also took a bit of tiny knot to investigate. But his face was pulled at the corners of his lips, and his voice was slightly cold. "These dog slaves, they used to be like this. If it doesn't happen that time, I think it's because they are still so careless. In this way, it's not totally useless." At this point, she couldn't help thinking that there were too many miscellaneous things hidden in King Yu's house, which was too restrictive. In the long run, there would be certain obstacles for her to eradicate various forces in the house. After a while, she should find a time to clean up. The medicine boy over there, just at this time, had grasped all the herbs, but there were only 2 packages. Lu Zhen personally handed over the medicine and explained, it's used to treat malaria. It's also used to soothe the nerves and nourish typhoid fever. There is no medicine in the government now. Wei Chen has ordered people to buy it and it can be delivered later. Those herbs are not commonly used. It's normal to have none in the government. Therefore, Mo Shanghua was not surprised. She took the medicine and handed it to Qinye behind her. She said with a smile, I know, but there is something else in my hospital. I can't wait here. Princess and go back is, wait for medicine to catch back, Micro-Minister will send someone to send. Lu Zhen drooped his head slightly and his voice was clear and respectful. That's good. Dr. Lu is working hard. I'll leave now. The flowers on the street answered softly, then got up and left. Lu Zhen bowed to see the ceremony. Until the flowers left, he stood up straight, looking at the direction of the door, his mouth whispered something, but only see the shape of the mouth, do not listen to sound. Mo Shanghua had been waiting until noon. Qinye Kai came to say that the medicine had been delivered, but the person who came to deliver the medicine was Zhang Wan. Although Mo Shanghua didn't like Zhang Wang, he still ordered him to come in. As soon as Zhang Wani entered the house, he polite respectfully and said, I'm still talking back to Mrs. Yun. When I heard that the princess was ill, I was anxious. I went back to Mrs. Yun in a hurry. I rushed out of the house to catch the medicine and sent it to you. I don't know if the princess is better now. As he said it, he quietly raised his eyes to see the look of flowers on the street, and his eyes flashed with some unknown color. Mo Shanghua glanced at Zhang Wan with his remaining light, and swept away the falsehood at the bottom of his eyes, but he didn't know what to do. He covered his lips with a handkerchief and coughed twice. Then he said, I'm really sorry to have a housekeeper. Come on, show the housekeeper a seat. Thank you, princess. Zhang Wang answered and sat down. I heard that the princess is weak. I happened to see a 100-year-old ice lotus in the drugstore today. I bought it. I hope the princess can take it to nourish me. In the meantime, he asked the boy to take up a sandalwood box and open it in front of the flower. Mo Shanghua sneered in his heart, but his face was still sickly. He only glanced at him casually. The ice lotus is fragrant. The housekeeper is really bothering. I will report it to the Lord some other day and give you a good reward. I dare not be rewarded by the Lord for my duty. Zhang Wan's eyes flashed, and then he glared at the little guy. Didn't you hear the princess's praise? Don't you put the ice lotus in front of the princess, let the princess have a good look. The smell of ice lotus is made on purpose. Naturally, its fragrance. Whether the bitch is weird or not depends on whether the fragrance can induce her poison. That small sea shook to shake, busily put the thing on the flower body side. The flower on the street sweeps the ice lotus on the table, the palm can't help but close, the eye bottom crosses a cold color, the complexion is invariable. Sure enough, she knew that Zhang Wan had come here on purpose. However, even something as valuable as Bing Lian is willing to be used for kung fu. His master is really willing. Just as he was thinking about it, Zhang Wan over there couldn't help but open his mouth. I heard that the princess was cold when she went out to look for the prince a few days ago, but it's strange. It's spring for a long time now, and it's not cold that day. It's really hateful to freeze the princess like this. In the tone, there is a kind of yin-yang strange tone. Mo Shanghua pretended to be angry and patted the table with hatred. What does the housekeeper mean? Can I pretend to be sick on purpose? With that, she pointed at Zhang Wan and said, if that's the case, I want to ask the housekeeper why my illness is always so good and bad. Is it because the housekeeper let out the wind under his hand, and let the villains come in and mix the fake medicine into it to kill me? Oh, my princess, what you can say is that I dare not even borrow the slave's courage. Zhang Wang knelt down busily, but there was no fear in his eyes. He only took his eyes to see the face of flowers on the street. The flower on the street seems to be in a hurry, and her breath has become much shorter. She stands up and seems to want to say something, but before she has finished a word, she covers her chest and sits back again, with a look of endless pain. Princess, what's the matter with you? Zhang Wang's heart suddenly quickened its beat and hastened forward. Qin Yang, with her eyes in front of Mo Shanghua, didn't hear Zhang Wan's words. She only exchanged a look with Mo Shanghua quietly. Then she began to worry. Princess, how did you make this heartache again? These days, you are more and more frequent. It's okay. Just hold on for a while. On the street, Flower tightly grasps the chest the placket, a pair of extremely forbearance appearance. Zhang Wang saw that the stone in his heart fell to the ground, and his eyebrows and eyes were uncontrollably relaxed. The flower on the street has been sweeping Zhang's face with the remaining light. At the moment, I can't help but sneer. He is really a good servant of his master. In this case, I still don't forget to breathe a sigh of relief for his master. So thinking, Mo Shanghua deliberately pretended to forget Zhang Wang. After a while, he wiped the sweat from his forehead and said, I'm not well. Let's go down. After kneeling for a long time, Zhang Wan's knee was already extremely painful. Now hearing the words, he immediately knelt down and said, Yes, I'll go down now. Take care of myself, princess. Finished saying, then hurried down. Until Zhang Wang's figure disappeared, Mo Shanghua's hand covering her chest was taken away, and her face returned to the usual calm color, without any sign of pain. Qinya, go and tell me that I don't feel well. From today on, no one will come. Mo Shanghua stood up, gave an order to Qinya, and went down. These days, Qinya has been practicing lip language for a long time, and she can understand it without sign language. Now she accepts her previous look and goes on to give orders. After returning to the house, Mo Shanghua didn't stay much. Instead, he took away what he needed from the herbs and went to the north of the city through the secret passage. Yan Beiqing had been waiting outside the thatched cottage for a long time, and all the things she had ordered to be prepared before were neatly placed behind. In addition, there was a middle-aged man standing behind. It seemed that he was also a doctor. Mo Shanghua didn't ask much. She went directly to Yan Beiqing's back. She looked at the herbs and utensils and said, Yan Beiqing, I need you to isolate all the people who have been in contact with the patients before and send someone to observe them carefully. If anything is abnormal, please report it to me immediately. Yan Beiqing thought about it a little, and then he knew the key to it. He simply answered, Don't worry, I'll tell you to go down. Mo Shanghua nodded and saw that there was no problem with those things. Then he turned around, took out a small porcelain vase and poured out a pill. It's a medicine to prevent infection, but its effect is negligible. You should be careful after taking it. As for herself, she had taken it when she came. Yan Beiqing took the medicine, but he didn't take it immediately. Instead, he raised his hand and pointed to the middle-aged man on his side. This is Dr. Lu. He has seen this disease before, but he can't do anything about it. I heard that you can cure it, so I came here specially to give you a hand. What do you think? That is to say, it means to watch by the way. Mo Shanghua smell speech. Mao Guang swept a circle on that middle-aged man's body, see his complexion ruddy, Mao Se is clear, then also have no objection, pour out a pill to pass in the past again, since want to lay hands on, come on, this pill you and take. Lu Ling busy hand took over, get together to the nose smell, this just swallowed down, thank you. Mo Shanghua nodded a little, took out the washcloth soaked in medicine juice and dried in the air, and other things similar to surgical clothes, and gave them to the two people behind him. Take all these with you. If you don't, you won't be able to go in for a while. Yan North City Lu Ling don't do he think, take over to wear well. Everything was almost ready. A few people entered the patient's room. Mo Shanghua looks at the middle-aged man lying on the earthen Kong in a coma. She raises her gloved hand to feel the man's pulse again. Then she takes a close look at the man's eyelids and orders Lu Ling to bring the silver needle. Lu Ling should be a favor-handed silver needle to come over. This is not like the usual injury poisoning, what we need is to find the source of the disease fundamentally, and find out the drugs and methods to inhibit the eradication. Mo Shanghua didn't know the source of the disease at the moment, so she used a silver needle to pick out a chickenpox on the man's arm, carefully observed the light yellow blood flowing out of it, and the man's reaction, in an attempt to find out the cause. But the medical equipment here is very different from that of modern times. It's not easy to find out the source of the disease. It's a big problem just to put away the liquid. It took me a long time to think about it before I came up with a solution. However, this preparation tool had to be added again. I had to put it down for the time being, and first went to observe the patient's other symptoms. It was only when I got the equipment the next day that I was able to continue. This time, the silver needle was empty in the middle. Mo Shanghua took the enamel bowl next to him. Then, he pricked it with the hollow silver needle, and the chickenpox shriveled down, and the pale yellow liquid fell into the bowl. Lu Ling held her breath and stood beside her. Seeing this, she was surprised and surprised. A little excitement slowly overflowed from the bottom of her eyes. She secretly said that she didn't come in vain this time. It was a feast for the eyes. Mo Shanghua looked at the liquid in the bowl that was not even the size of his thumb, and continued to collect with the same complexion. Yan Beiqing stares at the silver needle in the hand of Mo Shanghua. He suddenly feels that he unconsciously coagulates his eyes to see Mo Shanghua. The mysterious and treacherous deep in his eyes is surging slowly, but it's so deep that people can't understand it at all. Mo Shanghua raised his hand to wipe sweat and glanced at him in a hurry. Then he took back his eyes unconsciously and cleaned up the residual liquid on the patient. Yanbei City to her eyes of the moment, eyes color has no origin of deep, but did not move. Mo Shanghua is too busy treating patients to know. When the fluid is collected, it is the follow-up observation to find the source of the disease. Because of the lack of medical facilities, it is also day after day, and it takes a full 5 days to find the source of the disease. After finding out the source of the disease, naturally, there is no need for such procrastination. After thinking about it for a long time, I have an idea in my heart and go to have an operation. In the past few days, although the patient's condition has not worsened, the pox and rash on the surface of his skin have festered, and nearly a quarter of his body has rotted and stinky. The flowers on the street seem to be unheard of. The eyes are indifferent and serious. Holding a silver needle, they carefully prick the other acne rashes on the man one by one. Such a dense and terrible pox rash. Rao is a big man in Yanbeiqing. Looking at it, all feel a little disgusted, but the flowers on the street seem to be unconscious, and continue to work. For 2 whole hours, after cleaning up all the acne rashes, Mo Shanghua didn't plan to rest and whispered, "Bone scraper." Lu Ling heart surprised, but did not dare to ask a voice, busy will scrape bone knife handed in the past. Mo Shanghua took the bone scraping knife and asked Lu Ling to help turn the patient over with no expression on her face. When the knife fell, it was already a small piece of carrion that had been scraped off. Lu Ling heart a shock, eyes firmly staring at the action of flowers on the street, surprised speechless. The girl's courage is too big, and the method of treatment is also novel. Such a dangerous and terrible method can be used. She is only a teenager now. How did she come up with such a method? He is so skillful in medicine that at his age, he has the idea of learning to be a teacher. Yan Beiqing stood and looked at him. Suddenly, he was surprised, but he recovered as usual in a moment. Mo Shanghua didn't know what they were thinking, only scraping the rotten meat. As for the patient, she had already eaten her ma fei san, which was made according to the composition of the anesthetic. Therefore, she did not feel anything but closed her eyes and was in a coma. Scraping rotten meat is not a simple job. As time goes on, the physical strength of flowers on the street is exhausted. Thin sweat is covered on the forehead and nose, and the pain in the brain is more and more clear. However, she bit her lower lip hard, until there was a smell of sweetness between her lips and teeth, and then she felt that her mind had recovered a lot, and her hands kept moving. When it was dark, the rotten meat was finally scraped off. Mo Shanghua put the bone scraper aside, and used the ointment prepared in advance to bandage the patient. After taking the medicine, he walked out of the room. At that time, sweating, she looked back at Yanbei City behind her. She wanted to say something, but before she finished a word, she was soft and fell down heavily. Yan Beiqing see this, eyes suddenly aflash, busy more to her side, will her into the arms, just lest she fell to the ground. The flower eyes on the road close, only feel poured into a very warm embrace, everything behind, then all don't know. Princess, Yan Beiqing called softly subconsciously, and then looked at Lu Ling in front of her, you see, what's the matter with her? Lu Ling raised her hand and touched the forehead of the flower on the street. She felt a piece of hot water and said, Lord, hurry up, put the concubine on the bed first. Yan Beiqing smell speech, also don't think much, hurriedly will Mo Shanghua horizontal hold up, in a hurry to another clean room, will Mo Shanghua careful on the bamboo collapse. Lu Ling followed in the past, busy to the front, carefully for the flower pulse. Princess is also infected with this ramen. Lu Ling face suddenly changed, subconsciously back a few steps, I think it is because the princess stay with this patient day by day, and the preventive medicine, the effect is too small, this is infectious. Yan Beiqing had just guessed in his heart. Now when he heard Lu Ling say so, he felt that his heart sank and he couldn't say a word for a while. The shock in Lu Ling's eyes didn't weaken at all. After a while, she continued, what's more surprising is that the princess should have been infected as early as 3 days ago, and her body still had a high fever. She could survive for 3 days without any mistakes. She would finish the treatment. This kind of perseverance is really terrible. Yan North City heart is also drama shock, can't help but turn eyes looking at lying in the collapse of the Mo Shanghua. See her in a coma, eyebrows are deep frown, in the heart uncontrollably moved, even he himself did not notice half a minute. Yan North City let Lu Ling in carefully to Mo Shanghua see, make sure that she is just a little bit of acne rash on the body, not vine extremely whole body, also only rot, this just relaxed. Don't worry, my lord. Although ramen is terrible, fortunately, the princess developed a drug to inhibit ramen before she was in a coma. As long as she takes medicine on time and has a good self-cultivation for a few days, she will be safe and sound. Lu Ling raised her hand to wipe the sweat on her forehead and let out a long breath. Yanbei City pupil between a touch of black, this just shoe of a scattered, but still can't help but ask that her body acne rash how to deal with? There's very little acne on the princess. There's no need to treat it. When she recovers, it will go away automatically. After a pause, he seemed to think of something. He added, but the prince must remember that he must not let the acne break. Otherwise, it will only aggravate the disease. At that time, he will have to be treated like the one inside. I really can't do that kind of operation without the medical skill of the princess. Yan Beiqing's heart sank, but his curved jaw just slightly touched, took off his shirt and put it on the flower on the street. Then he carefully picked her up and went back to the mansion. He will slow down the action, the flowers on the street back to her bedroom bed, pull over the quilt cover, then hurried out. The door just opened. It happened that Qinya was on duty. She woke up immediately. She saw Yan Beiqing and curtsied, I've seen you. Yan Beiqing knew Qinya. When he saw her coming, he thought about it and gave her the prescription directly. He said, go and suffer according to the prescription. If someone asks, it's the princess who has a high fever. By the way, he'll go to have a basin of hot water and bring 2 handkerchiefs. These are all explained by Lu Ling. He has a good memory and can remember them clearly. Qinya was a little confused when she heard this. She took the prescription and hesitated as if she wanted to ask something. How can you dally with that woman? I'll tell you that she's okay. Go quickly. As if seeing Qinya's worry, Yan Beiqing's face sank directly, showing the usual wanton appearance of a dandy. Qinya shrinks her neck and then goes down in a hurry. After a while, she brings hot water and towel. As soon as he put down his things, Yan Beiqing drove the people down, soaked the towel in hot water, wrung it dry and picked it up. Ramen's fever can't be done in the traditional way. He can only take medicine at ease. What he can do now is to wipe her sweat. Yan Beiqing lowered his eyebrows, gently wiped the slightly greasy face of Mo Shanghua, then changed the kerchief again, rolled up her sleeves and wiped her delicate white lotus arm. Most of the pox rashes on the flowers grow on the lotus root arm. Therefore, when Yan Beiqing wipes them, his movements are extremely light, and the bottom of his eyes is soft and gentle, but he doesn't feel it. When it comes to scrubbing, Qinya has already brought the medicine bowl. Yan Beiqing asks her to put it down and go out. Until he heard the sound of the door closing, he held the flower in his arms with one hand. With the empty hand, he held the spoon, filled a spoonful of medicine, sent the spoon to her lips and poured it down. After a whole night's infusion, Yanbei City put the flowers back again. At this time, it was getting late, so he simply moved the flowers to the bed. He was lying in the outside position with his clothes closed. He was not afraid to infect himself at all. In fact, he is not afraid, but he knows that even if he is infected with it, there is a law that can be cured now. Mo Shanghua wakes up the next day. At that time, Yan Beiqing is bringing the decoction. She was a little surprised in her eyes. She wanted to stand up on the bed, but when she moved, she found that she was weak and could not move at all. Yan Beiqing put down the decoction, and his tone returned to the usual dandy, "Don't move if you're not well. If you get sick, I don't want to serve you anymore. You took care of me." The color of surprise in Mo Shanghua's eyes is even worse. He looks at him incredulously. Yan Beiqing snorted from his nose, which was a response. The flower on the street was silent for a moment, and just now she exclaimed, "You can even take care of people. For the sake of your serious illness, I don't care about you." Speaking, Yan North City will side of the medicine bowl end up, raised to the lips of Mo Shanghua, "Take medicine." The flowers on the street wanted to try to move by themselves, but they were still weak, so they could only put their lips together. Yan Beiqing tilted the medicine bowl slightly so that she could drink it slowly. Mo Shanghua drinks medicine, Mao Guang floats at will. Because he wanted to hold up the medicine bowl, Yan Beiqing's broad sleeves naturally slipped down, revealing his white arms. At the elbow where the sleeves overlap, half of the scar is clearly reflected in the eyes of the flowers on the street. Her eyes suddenly coagulate, and the scar on the arm of the cloak man in her mind instantly gushes out and overlaps with it. Are these two really thinking of this? A strange color flashed away in her slightly ill eyes, and soon recovered to indifference. Calm, drink a bowl of medicine, Mo Shanghua lie back, because the onset of efficacy, and is in a daze of sleep in the past. For several days in a row, Raman, who was suffering from Mo Shanghua, gradually recovered. Although he was still weak, he could at least take medicine by himself. Looking at Yan Beiqing's handkerchief, Mo Shanghua took it and wiped his arm. Yan Beiqing, on the other hand, sat bored. Mo Shanghua sweeps Yan Beiqing's side with the remaining light. He can't help thinking of the scar he saw a few days ago. With only one scar, she could be sure that Yan Beiqing was the cloaker. On the surface, a dandy is willful, but on the surface, he is a mysterious and crafty master. His ability to bear for so long shows his strength now. It seems that she is right to cooperate with Yan Beiqing. Just after thinking about it, Qinya hurried in from the outside and said, "To the prince and princess, the emperor sent someone to send a wedding gift. Now the people from the emperor have arrived at the gate of the city." The flower on the road originally wanted to pass the handkerchief to the past hand shoe of Emil, in the eye peep out a bit surprised color. Yan North City is also the same, but also just surprised for a while, then again cry face, "Father Emperor so toss do what, make this king also want to go out to meet." Mo Shanghua didn't like to deal with this, so she pulled the quilt on her body and said in a soft voice, "Lord, I'm not feeling well. I'm going to meet you. It's hard for you to go by yourself." Yan Beiqing reluctantly stood up and looked at her with resentment. "You are a woman who clearly wants to take the opportunity to be lazy." I will go by myself." After that, he went out with a sad face. Mo Shanghua saw that he had gone far away, so he sat up again with a solemn face. "Qinya, do you have any information about the person who came to send gifts?" Yan Moli and Yan Sinchuan are also riding on high horses, side by side in the front of the team, and behind them is a convoy of 100 people. In the meantime, there was a luxurious carriage, surrounded by dozens of uniformed servant girls. Yan Li's ink face is handsome, and he sits upright on the horse. Looking at the driving of Yan Beiqing not far away, his eyes are gradually filled with some deep feeling. It's been a long time since the beginning of spring, but Yan Sinchuan is still wearing a broad and slightly thick cloak. On his handsome face, he has a faint smile, and his temperament is as gentle and elegant as Diablo. Brother San Huang, it should be Brother Jiu Huang's car ahead. Yan Sinchuan also saw the car not far away, can't help turning his eyes to Yan Limo, whispered. It should be. Yan Li Mo light point jaw, right hand Lu Rain, left hand raised in the hair top side, all stop, wait here. As soon as the words came to an end, all the hundreds of people stopped neatly, and no one dared to walk. The carriage also stopped, and a pair of green and delicate white hands came out of the small window. The delicate hand gently lifted the corner of the brocade curtain of the small window to reveal a beautiful cheek. Lu Qianqian poked his cheek out of the window, looked around and said in a soft voice, "But I'm in Yuzhou." Close-body servant girl fine sun busy gather together to come over, Lo should descend, is. Lu Qianqian eyes suddenly across a dark color, eyes color slightly deep. Lu Qianqian, no, it should be said to be fake gold, or Lu Fu's daughter. If you knew I was here, what would it be like? Princess, my brother has gone to inquire about it. It is estimated that we will have news later. Qinya came forward and answered truthfully. Qinya just finished speaking, there was a rush of footsteps at the door. After a while, she came running panting. He took a big breath, slowed down for a while, and then used sign language to describe what he saw. They are the 3rd prince and the 13th prince, and Lu Qianqian, the daughter of the prime minister's house. Now they have entered the house, and the Lord has arranged their residence for them. Mo Shanghua looks at Qin Lin's mouth and whispers what he has described. It's okay for others, but when it comes to Lu Qianqian, her indifferent and calm water eyes are suddenly infected with a bit of ice, like the cold winter moon, cold Qinren bone marrow. Qin Ye and Qin Lin look at each other, all of them are aware that the flowers on the street are not right. Princess, what's the matter with you? After hesitating for a moment, Qin Ye comes forward worried. Nothing. The flower on the street just realized her gaffe, and the look in her eyes was clean. Qin Ye is still worried. Just as she wants to ask more questions, another servant girl comes in. Tell the princess that Miss Qianjin Liu of the Prime Minister's residence asked to see her sister. Come in, please. The cold color of the flower eyes on the street flickered slightly, and the face color remained unchanged. Since sister came to visit, how could she not be seen as a sister? When the maid faded, Lu Qian came in. Today's Lu Qianqian wears a wide-sleeve ruse skirt with flowing clouds in Sichuan brocade. Her 3,000 black hair has become the most popular bun in the imperial capital. She wears a ring on her hair to match her beautiful cheeks. In addition to her weak posture, Lu Fufeng adds a sense of pity. As soon as she saw the flowers on the street lying on the collapse, she hurriedly came over and said with worry, I haven't seen her for several months. How can my sister be so thin? It's really painful to see her for a long time. Every move, as if they had been so sisterly in the past. What a big white lotus. Mo Shanghua laughed in her heart, but she didn't show anything on her face. She only glanced at her calmly. My body has always been so thin. I'm afraid my sister hasn't seen her for a long time. I even forgot about it. To tell the truth, they have only seen each other since today. How can Lu Qianqian know her physical condition? She can understand the irony that others can't understand. Sure enough, Lu Qianqian's face was stiff for a moment, and she just laughed. My younger sister is so tired these days that I just want to see my elder sister quickly, which I forget for a moment. My elder sister must not blame. My sister's heart is the most kind. How can I care about it with you? The flower on the street is pale, and a smile is stirred up on her lips, which is full of an understanding elder sister style. I knew that my sister was the best. Lu Qianqian also raised her lips and gave a soft smile. Pause, she seems to see what, eyebrows are gently frown into a ball, sister sitting like this, the body must be uncomfortable, not like a few soft pillow behind it. Mo Shanghua glanced at her back. Now she is really sitting upright on the bed. There is nothing to lean on behind her. It's better to put some soft pillows. Just, this word say from Lu Qian's mouth, afraid not so simple. Her eyes narrowed, but she didn't move, ready to hold still. Lu Qianqian finished, also did not see the look of flowers on the street, then looked sideways at the side of Qing'er. The fine son immediately understands idea to come over, busy smile to come forward, the princess, the maidservant comes to wait on you. Say, also don't wait for the flower to reply, hurriedly come forward, want to take the soft pillow of her body side. Want to take this soft pillow, it is inevitable to raise the arm, around the body of Mo Shanghua can, therefore, her every move will be clearly reflected in the Mo Shanghua's eyes, she did not feel. In the moment when Qing'er raises her hand, the flower seems to shake in front of her eyes. She stares at her eyes and looks carefully. Then she sees a silver needle between her slender fingers. Such a tiny thing, if you take advantage of the soft pillow, there will be no difference on the outside of the soft pillow, but as soon as you lie on it, you will surely plunge the silver needle into the flesh. Between the thunder and lightning, the flowers on the street have already thought about it. Their hearts sank. They are busy raising their hands unintentionally, trying to caress the broken hair between the temples. This seems to be a casual hand, but it contains a bit of strength in it. Qing'er didn't expect that flowers on the street would do this. Her arm was immediately blocked back, and the silver needle between her fingers fell on the brocade quilt. Mo Shanghua's face is full of doubts, what is it? Qing'er was flustered in her heart. She put the silver needle in her palm and shook her head in a hurry, it's nothing. The princess is wrong. Lu Qianqian clings to the soft gauze handkerchief lightly. She can't help tightening it. The handkerchief is wrinkled in the palm, but she doesn't feel it. The light of her eyes falls on Qing'er's hand holding the silver needle. Qing'er has been waiting on the side of the flower on the street. As soon as Qing'er put away the silver needle, she sees things clearly. Suddenly, she is startled. Without thinking about it, she kicks Qing'er out. Bold slave, what you are holding is a silver needle that can kill people, and you dare to lie. Qing'er was suddenly kicked, and then stepped back several steps, and then sat on the ground. Because of the pain and tension, her palms closed up subconsciously. It is such a close, tightly held in the palm of the silver needle instantaneous pierced the flesh, deeply into the palm of the tender meat. Ah! With a scream, Qing'er releases her hand. She raises her hand and looks at her palm. She looks at the silver needle and the tiny blood beads in her palm. She is shocked and frightened. Lu Qianqian see this, in the heart suddenly born bad premonition, is about to open mouth to say something, fine son then suddenly rolled to her feet, tightly pulling her skirt. Miss, help me, I beg you. Give me the antidote. I don't want to die. She knew what had been smeared on the silver needle. Her strong desire for survival manipulated her brain and thought. She was so frightened that she did such a ridiculous thing. Lu Qianqian's face changed slightly, trying to maintain her face, and put on a look of shock. Qing'er, how can you have a bad heart for your sister? That's my sister. How can you be so cruel? Between the words, but deliberately avoided the antidote, only to make a look of heartache. Seeing this, Qing'er's eyes flashed a bit of hate, and she was about to drag Lu Qianqian into the water. There was a burst of colic in her abdomen, and black blood flowed from her mouth and nose. The whole person was in agony. As she sobbed bitterly, she grabbed Lu Qianqian's skirt and murmured, Miss, help, help, maidservant, maidservant. A word hasn't finished, the hand falls down, but the eyes are not willing to stare big, plus the black blood of the nose and mouth, the whole person is terrible. Ah! Lu Qian's face was full of panic and stepped back a few steps. As soon as her legs were soft, she fell on the bed. Tears ran down her white cheeks and her posture became thinner and weaker. The bottom of the flower's eyes suddenly crossed a cold color, and his face was calm. Qin Lin, send someone to ask Lu Imperial Doctor to come here as soon as possible. Qin Lin answered and hurriedly went down. After a while, Lu Zhen came with a medicine box on his back. Mo Shanghua ignored Lu Qianqian and directly raised her finger to Qing'er, who was lying on the ground. Please have a look at the Imperial Dr. Lu. Yes. Lu Zhen nodded, then carried the medicine box to go over, held the cheek of fine sun to see, turned to break off her palm again, examined carefully. Before finding out the result, Yan Beicheng, Yan Moli, and others came in a hurry. At that time, Lu Qianqian was gently holding a soft gauze handkerchief, crying beside the pear blossom with rain. Because of the reason of being frightened, his shoulder trembled from time to time, as if he would faint at any time, which made people feel pity. Seeing someone coming in, her tearful eyes fell on Yan Moli, but it was just a glance, so she quickly drew back her eyes and bowed them to see him. Miss Lu is frightened. Don't be polite. Yan Moli Mao lightly swept her one eye, politely and distantly casually returned a sentence, only that Mao bottom, but is to delimit a few minutes obscure dark black color. Yes. Lu Qianqian nodded and stood on one side. Yan Xinchuan saw the flower on the street for a moment, then he felt his heart shrink fiercely, and his fingertips moved a little, but after all, he slowly made a fist without any action. As soon as Yan Beicheng entered the room, his eyes were fixed on the painted flower. Seeing that she seemed to want to get up, he pressed her shoulder lightly and said angrily, "Princess, don't move if you are not well. This matter will be dealt with by the king." Although his face was so angry, his eyes were just deep and clear. Mo Shanghua glanced at the people standing behind him with the remaining light. When the light fell to Yan Xinchuan, he jumped for a while without any reason in his heart. He quickly took back his eyes and said in a light voice, "Good." Yan Beicheng turned his head and looked at Lu Zhen, "What's the matter?" Lu Zhen put away the medicine box, and then he got up to reply, "If you go back to the Lord, this man's poison is a kind of poison called poison research. This poison can kill you in an instant just because it's on this little silver needle." After a pause, he reflected in his eyes for a moment and said, "It's just that this poison research is very precious. It's very rare in ordinary days. It's not what an ordinary servant girl can get." What he said just stopped at the end, but the deep meaning he left behind was thought-provoking. Everyone's eyes can't help falling on Lu Qianqian's body, with some doubt in his eyes, looking at him. Why do you look at me like this?" Lu Qianqian's face was slightly white, and her tears, which had just stopped, suddenly fell like broken pearls. After a pause, she raised her hand to wipe her tears, and sobbed, "Qing'er has been with me all these years. She is loyal and devoted. Now that she's dead, I'm very sad. I dare not say, but she is just an ordinary servant girl, and she has such a good temper. How can she do such a thing? There must be some misunderstanding." Yan Moli's eyes exuded dark color gradually. After a long time, he went to the side of Yanbei city and said, "Since the princess is nothing, it's just an ordinary servant girl who died. According to our hall, we really don't have to go on the investigation. I heard that the princess is still ill, so we don't want to disturb her. How can this work?" Yan Beicheng patted the table beside the bed heavily, and his face was full of anger. In the palace of the king, the princess was openly calculated and wanted to harm the princess. It's really good to be the king. In any case, the king will never tolerate others to attack his wife. Where is the housekeeper? Zhang Wanxian seldom saw Yan Beicheng so angry that he was startled, but he quickly came up, "The slave is here, please tell me. I will see the result tonight. You should check it immediately." After a pause, he turned his eyes and looked at the flowers in the street. His voice softened for a long time. "Princess, you'd better have a rest. I will give you justice." Between the words, there is a kind of softness that has never been before. Mo Shanghua naturally knew who he was playing for, so she also cooperated with him and said, Lao Wangyi is worried. Lu Qianqian, by wiping tears, quietly swept the eyes of the two people. The corner of the lip is not a trace of a smile, but a moment, and then smooth again. Yan Beicheng had already handed over the matter to the housekeeper. Naturally, there was no one else to intervene in the next thing. All the people in the room were scattered in an instant. And the final result of this matter, Zhang Wan also just pretends to wantonly investigate and deal with it, but in the end, it is a hasty end. He only says that Qing'er is dead, and there is no evidence to prove her death, so he can only say that Qing'er has stolen poison research and wants to poison the flowers on the street. Yanbei City did not do more investigation. After the incident, rumors came from somewhere in Yuzhou City, digging up the rumors that Mo Shanghua was cruel to wipe his mother and that he was given a marriage by the emperor and Hao Tang. In this way, Lu Qianqian, who is gentle and amiable from the mother's family of Mo Shanghua, naturally becomes a positive example, forming a positive and negative contrast with Mo Shanghua. In addition, a few days ago, it was reported that Mo Shanghua was a shrew, vicious and jealous, which was in line with those rumors. The authenticity of Mo Shanghua increased several times in an instant, which made Yuzhou people more and more believe it and talk about it with relish. Mo Shanghua was sitting on the soft floor with a thick cashmere blanket on her leg. She was reading the medical books while listening to the rumors of Qinya. From the beginning to the end, she didn't even frown. Qinya suddenly had a feeling of playing the lute to the ox, and she could not help drooping her head and sighing. I said, Princess, even if you are not angry, you should express your opinion. This is silent, and it is too wronged. What can I say? The flower on the street twists the page of the book and turns it back one page without moving her eyebrows and eyes. It's hard to stop people's mouths. Since they can't stop them, why bother to think about them? It's better to read a book. Qinya wanted to retort, but when she thought about it carefully, she found that what Mo Shanghua said didn't seem to be wrong, so she had to sigh. These people are really annoying. Mo flower Mao light suddenly get a meal, lip angle micro can't check of light, call up a touch of light ridicule. It's not only those people who are annoying, but also the people behind it. She just started to think about it, and suddenly there was a slight step at the door. Then he saw Qin Lin walk in first. He saluted the flowers on the street. Before he could say anything, a man came out from behind him. The man's eyebrows are delicate, his facial features are handsome and soft, and his white robe is added to his body, which makes him feel like a god's residence. The 13th Prince Yan Sichuan, his name suddenly appeared in the brain of Mo Shanghua. Somehow, her heart was just like yesterday's, beating slightly, and the inexplicable sense of familiarity gradually spread. Yan Sichuan's eyes also fell on the flowers in the street. His eyes were warm, but at the moment, they were filled with a layer of bitterness. His eyes are not controlled in the street, a little bit pale cheek inch swept, the look in the eyes is like something to suppress the general, complex people cannot really see. Mo Shanghua couldn't understand the look in his eyes. He pursed his lips and looked at him for a while, then waved his hand to let Qin Lin go first. Yan Sichuan was silent for a long time. Then he pulled his lips and said, I heard that you are always in bad health these days. Now you are still recovering. It's just that my imperial doctor also brought it here. Let him show you. He asked the emperor to follow him this time. Because he was weak since he was a child, the imperial doctor was always with him. He didn't use it all the way. He didn't expect that it would be useful now. But this use really let him not know cry or laugh. Mo Shanghua put down the medical books for the time being, and swept Yan Sichuan's eyes quietly. In addition to a touch of incomprehensible emotion, there was only a touch of warmth and worry. The flower on the street can feel that the worry is really sincere. Her delicate jaw is slightly touched. Yan Sichuan has been staring at Mo Shanghua. Seeing that she hasn't refused at the moment, he is a little relieved. He glances at the imperial doctor behind him. The doctor came over with the medicine box on his back, opened it, and took out the wrist pillow and gauze towel. Mo Shanghua naturally put the white wrist on the wrist pillow. The royal doctor put the gauze towel between her wrists and pressed her 3 fingers between her wrists to feel her pulse. The flower on the street droops her eyes and looks at the imperial doctor to feel her pulse. Where Yu Guang reaches, she sees that Yan Xinchuan doesn't look back at her. Her worries at the bottom of her eyes are inadvertently released, and her right hand is slightly caged into a fist. It's an act of extreme worry. Mo Shanghua's heart was not deep, but it was relaxed after a while. This was the first person who cared about her so much since she came to this world. She could not help but feel a little good for him. The imperial doctor closed his eyes for a moment, then took back his hand, walked to Yan Xinchuan, arched his hand to recover his life. Back to your highness, the princess's disease has been cured, but now she is still some loss, so we can take good care of her in the future. Yan Xinchuan clenched his fist tightly, and his worry in his eyes spilled out carelessly. You just came to Yuzhou for a few days, how can you be like this, right? Is brother Jiu Huang treating you harshly? Is life in Yuzhou bad? Is it just for a moment? There were thousands of worried words in his heart. He wanted to ask them all, but the words were in his throat, and then he suddenly remembered that he was no longer qualified to love her. As if to see what he wanted to ask, Mo Shanghua gently pulled the corner of his lips, a faint smile. Your Highness, don't worry, I just don't adapt, after this period of time will be good. Yan Xinchuan thin lips micro-movement, words have rolled to the throat, but he was swallowing, silent for a long time. Square way, I'll leave in a few days, you now body so, I'm not at ease, I brought some tonic, you stay, good tonic body. With that, he was afraid that the flowers in the street would refuse, so he turned his head and told him to go on. After a while, he came up with a brocade box and another one. The one behind Yan Xinchuan is holding a list and presenting it to Mo Shanghua. Mo Shanghua took it up, opened it and swept his eyes at will. His eyes could not help but be surprised. Then, it was wisps of warmth. All these nourishing things are precious, especially good for a woman's body. It can be seen that Yan Xinchuan is very concerned about her. No, I should say I care about the original owner. Thank you very much. Mo Shanghua raised a smile. She thought, this smile is probably her these days, more real. Between you and me, why do we have to do this? I just want you to be well. Yan Xinchuan took a warm smile from the corner of his lips, but there was some slight bitterness hidden in the smile. Yan Beiqing came in without being told. He wanted to see the flowers in the street, but he didn't think about it. Before he stepped in, he heard these words. I don't know why, but he was infected with a feeling of indescribability, which led him to speed up his pace uncontrollably. When he came to the door, he could see the soberness of the room clearly. Suddenly, a layer of ink was on the bottom of his eyes. The deep and unpredictable ups and downs of his eyes took a long time to recover. Love imperial concubine, your body just right, how to get up, in case of catching cold can what to do. As soon as Yan Beiqing came into the room, he was full of worries. While speaking, he strode to her, took off his coat and put it on her. You are also so thin. You can't forget that I said that if you are ill, you will ignore you. Mo Shanghua only thought he was acting again, raised his hand and gathered up the outer garment he had just put on. I know that I can lie all day, but my head hurts when I lie down. If I can't get up, I'm afraid I'm going to become a useless person. Yan Beiqing sat down beside her and gently pinched her nose. I know, but how can you wear thicker, or do you want to make me feel sad? Well, never had a man with Mo Shanghua had such a close touch. Let her for a time was stunned there, water eyes caught off guard, then on his eyes. When he was King Yu, the color of his eyes was as clear as water, but at the moment, she saw the color of doting in his eyes. The air seems to have stagnated at this moment. The flowers on the street only feel empty in their ears. Only the sudden acceleration of the heartbeat is so clear. Yan Xinchuan wanted to stay here for a while, so that he could see more. But he didn't expect that the sudden arrival of Yan Beiqing broke the situation. The two of them were sentimental, but he was, like an outsider. The heart seems to be tightly grasped by people. Besides the pain, it is more of a sense of suffocation like dying. He can hardly breathe, and his eyes are filled with deep bitterness and pain. For a long time, the flower on the street seemed to notice something. He turned his face to avoid his sight. The Lord is joking. How dare I do that? Yu Guang glances at Yan Xinchuan, who has been standing on one side for a long time. Mo Shanghua suddenly remembers that he is still there. Somehow, he just pulls his head and blurts out a word, "Your Highness is still standing. Qinya, go to show Your Highness a seat." As soon as the words were heard, Qinya moved the chair quickly. Yan Xinchuan didn't sit down. He wanted to say something, but Yan Beiqing turned his head at this time, and their eyes immediately met in the air. Yan Xinchuan saw Yanbei City, but with a bit of childish displeasure. Yanbei City is clear, in his eyes to understand the depressed bitterness, his eyes deeper. Two people don't speak. Yan Xinchuan also didn't sit down. Mo Shanghua this just realized that the atmosphere seems to be some wrong. Mao Guang from two people on the circulation for a while, in the heart secretly scold oneself, how can be so stupid. I'm not feeling well. I'm going to have a rest. Lord, Your Highness, please go back first. Mo Shanghua gently stroked her forehead, and her voice was a little hoarse. After that, Qinya quickly came over, carefully helped her down, and they returned to the master bedroom. After all the masters left, Yan Beicheng and Yan Xinchuan were not in the mood to stay, so they went back to their homes. Yan Beicheng has been busy entertaining Yan Moli and others these days, but she has to go with her because of her illness. It's a rare leisure these days. It's just the right day in spring. She's moldy in her room. So she asked Qinya to get some flowers and drive them to Qinlin. Qinya went not far away to guard them. She found a place in the dockyard by herself and prepared to cultivate them by herself. Although Yuzhou is in a poor state, it has to be said that Yuang's residence is not affected at all. It's luxurious in terms of food and clothing. Mo Shanghua tied a knot on her broad sleeve at will. When she reached the bend of her arm, she squatted down, holding a small hoe the size of her small arm and plowing the soil on the ground. I only planed for a while, but I felt that there was something hard under the hoe, and I couldn't dig any more. The flower eyebrows on the street frowned lightly. After thinking about it, he threw the small hoe in his hand to one side and gently pushed away the soil with his hand. A toss down, Mo Shanghua actually dug out a stone about the size of palm from the soil. The whole body of the stone is dark, and its shape is strange, with edges and corners everywhere. In particular, there are more than 3 fingers protruding from the outside, and the other end is extremely sharp. If anyone doesn't see it, he will knock his head and blood. It's just, what kind of stone is this? The flower heart on the street is curious, so he simply abandons his work and holds the stone to observe carefully. Linger hides in some flowers and quietly observes every move of the flowers on the street. She holds a silver needle tightly in her palm. When she looks carefully, it is the same as what Qinger took that day. Linger observed for a long time, and saw that Mo Shanghua held such a sharp stone in his hand. His eyes wandered around, and he took a deep breath. Then he stepped on the steps and slowly approached Mo Shanghua's back. Although Mo Shanghua has been looking at the stone in her hand, the deliberate light footstep still makes her water eyes suddenly coagulate. Qinya and Qinlin are 2 brothers and sisters who can get close to her on weekdays. Qinya's pace is light and Qinlin's pace is steady. At this time, the sound of footsteps behind her slows down deliberately. It must be a plot. Mo Shanghua's heart was full, but his body didn't move. He still kept his posture. Linger soon walked to the back of Mo Shanghua, but didn't dare to make any action. Standing behind the flower for a long time, until she didn't feel it, her eyes were filled with a layer of fierce color. Raising her hand would push the flower to the ground. Unexpectedly, as soon as she had an action in her hand, Mo Shanghua suddenly turned to sit on the ground to avoid her attack. She threw herself in the air and almost fell over. At this time, Mo Shanghua suddenly feels surprised. She quickly raises her feet and kicks Linger's falling body. Linger is kicked in the middle of her abdomen, screams and flies backwards for several meters. Although Qinlin and Qinya are not close to them, they have been waiting not far away. With such a big noise, they rushed to come. Princess, what happened? Qinya glanced at Linger on the ground and went to the front of Mo Shanghua. She asked with concern. Qin Lin was also worried. You two take Linger for me first. The flower on the street is white, and the thin finger on Linger's body is awe-inspiring, full of cold color. Qinya and Qin Lin didn't know why, but they still came up. The obedient ones came forward and pulled Linger up from the ground. They pressed her arm and cut her hands behind her. The eyes of the flowers on the street are like knives, and their voice is like frost. It's cold to the bone. Linger, if I remember correctly, you are the servant girl sweeping below. You can't get close to me. Recently, when I was holding this sharp object, you sneaked around behind me and tried to push me. What do you mean? Linger's pretty cheek turned white with a brush, and her body trembled slightly. I'm just passing by. I just stumbled and bumped into the princess. As for the others, I'm afraid to ask the princess for a lesson. You'll make excuses. The flowers on the street and the vermilion lips gently pull up a light color of mockery, but the coldness in the voice has not abated at all. Qinya, search your body. Linger's face was in a panic. She wanted to struggle while Qinya let go. But unexpectedly, Qin Yasong handed her over to Qin Lin. She was still firmly controlled and could not move for half a minute. Qinya searched her whole body carefully. When she touched her waist, she felt something was wrong. After a careful look, it turned out to be a silver needle. She took it out and gave it to Mo Shanghua. Mo Shanghua took the silver needle and put it in the palm to check carefully. Just one eye, then recognized this silver needle and clear sun that day use from a place. Lu Qianqian is really a thief. It seems that she needs to alert these people so that they don't think she is weak in her illness. I'm lazy to ask how you got the silver needle, but you come here with such a lethal weapon and try to kill me. I'm determined not to forgive you. Come and beat Linger 100 times. Mo Shanghua put the silver needle away and said with no expression, Qinya, you invited the ladies of all the hospitals to come here, and Miss Lu also invited them to come here, saying that there was a good play for them to see. 100 boards, this is to her life. Linger's face was as gray as death. As soon as he was soft, he sat down on the ground. Qinya and Qin Lin didn't have any hesitation. Not long after Qinya's return, the concubines of Ji also came one after another, but when all the people were together, there was no sign of Nan He. As if seeing the misgivings of Mo Shanghua, Qinya came over and said in a low voice, Princess, Madame Nan said she was unwell. The imperial doctor told her not to go out, so she didn't come. Mo Shanghua nodded, and then specially ordered people to move tables and chairs, so that Lu Qianqian and his concubine sat down. As for that Linger, he was kept in the room surrounded by tables and chairs, and was pressed to the ground by the little guy, beating with the board again and again. Mo Shanghua didn't let her mouth be blocked, so the shrill scream came into everyone's ears clearly. Everyone was shocked, and they were all quiet, and none of them dared to speak. Only Lu Qian looked at Linger, who was so miserable that he couldn't bear to see it, but he was already angry in his heart. This person was bought by her in the past. Now she's doing this on purpose. It's just to show her. It's more irritating than slapping her in public. Guess what the servant girl did? Mo Shanghua's eyes swept around the crowd, and the corners of his lips were slightly curved with a smile. Since no one said that, let me tell you. Today, while I might as well, the maid wanted to push me down on the sharp stone and kill me. What's more, I found this thing on her. I can see that she had premeditated. Originally, I didn't want to. But if we don't punish her severely, and if we lead other slaves to follow suit in the future, I'm afraid you will be restless in the hospital. I'll punish her severely. Please come and have a look. As she spoke, she took out the silver needle from Linger and shook it between her fingers. Although the silver needle is small, the sun is just right now. Just a moment's random flash, there are several cold waves. I feel flustered when I just look at it. Don't look down on the silver needle. Although it looks unimportant, it is contaminated with highly toxic substances. Seems to be afraid that people do not believe in general, Mo Shanghua added with a smile, but the bottom of the eyes is a frozen color. As soon as the voice fell, Lu Qianqian stood up. Don't look down on the silver needle. Although it looks unimportant, it is contaminated with highly toxic substances. Seems to be afraid that people do not believe in general, Mo Shanghua added with a smile, but the bottom of the eyes is a frozen color. As soon as the voice fell, Lu Qianqian stood up and looked at Linger, who had been beaten and didn't even have the strength to shout. Her voice was soft as usual. Elder sister, you look at the maid, but now you can't even shout out. In my opinion, the punishment is enough. Why don't you forgive her for a while? Her eyes were still shimmering, full of the color of plainness and supplication, as well as a little unbearable pity. If the man looked at it, I'm afraid it's unnecessary for her to say. If he only looked at her eyes, his heart would be softened. Mo Shanghua is indifferent, cold eyes staring at Lu Qianqian for a while. Fang said, Sister, don't you forget what I just said? Since my sister forgot, I would say again that this man intended to harm me. How dare a little slave to murder her master? If she really wants to be punished, there is no doubt that she is guilty of death. Now I'm just being punished lightly. What do you want from my sister? Indeed, the life of a slave is not worth money, not to mention a slave who is trying to murder his master. No one will interfere with him anywhere else, even if he dies. But it's a human life after all. Lu Qianqian nibbled her lower lip and turned her eyes to look at Linger again. The color of her eyes was even more unbearable. In the end, she didn't really hurt your sister, so why bother you, sister? If it's spread out, it's not good for your sister's reputation. When the voice fell, she had already calculated in her heart. Today's affair can let a person spread the sharp contrast between her two people, such as a vicious, a kind. In this way, Mo Shanghua's reputation can be thoroughly implemented, and can no longer be turned over. Going out? The flower on the street asked in a slightly rising tone, all of you here are from the palace. I'm the princess of the palace. How can anyone chew my tongue? Sister, do you think so? The implication is a disguised threat. All the people felt that their backs were cold, and they all hung their heads for fear that they would be spotted again by strangers. Mo Shanghua didn't have the intention to stop. She was indifferent just now, but at this time, she had a color of unclear meaning. It's said that everyone in the family of the emperor's power is smart, and one step wrong will lead to death. My sister was born in the prime minister's house, but now even a slave who made a mistake asks for love. It's really hard to be so kind-hearted. It's time. The implication is that Lu Qian is not sensible and pretends to be kind. All of a sudden, people around Lu Qian's eyes have become subtle. Feeling the sight of people around, Lu Qianqian's long and sharp nails pierced deeply into the palm of his hand. He couldn't attack, so he could only bear it. After a while, she tried to squeeze out a gentle smile as usual. I suddenly remembered that there are still some things in the hospital that have not been taken care of. I left first. Don't blame my sister. Sister, walk slowly. Flowers on the street should be a sentence. Before Lu Qian was about to step out of the door, Yu said, since my sister has just pleaded with you, please forgive this girl first. Qin Lin, shut her up in the Chaifang. By the way, since my sister likes this girl, I'll send it to my sister when I've recovered my injury. The implication is that such an unfaithful slave, since you have asked for love, you can take it to yourself. Lu Qianqian's steps are tiny and irretrievable. The anger in his eyes almost overflows uncontrollably, but when he is about to reveal it, he pinches his own mouth. And then just do not feel like stepping away. The flowers on the street bring Lu Qianqian's strange income to the bottom of the eyes, and the bottom of the eyes is crossed by a cold dawn. After a while, he took back his eyes and stood up. If you spare her, there will be nothing to see. I just hope that all of you will restrain the servants in your courtyard. Don't do this in the princess's courtyard. Let's go. A admonition warning down, the house Ji concubines suddenly become trembling, busy whispered answer, dare not. The next day, as soon as the flowers on the street were ready to get up, a servant girl rushed in. The princess is not well, Linger is dead. Mo Shanghua holds the hand of Chopsticks a tight, shoe of Ray's head, how to return a responsibility, still have, is when matter. The servant girl was frightened by the look of the flower on the street. She said, I was found this morning. It seems that I was strangled. There was a servant girl at the scene. Go, I'll see for myself. Flowers on the road, eyes microcoagulation, complexion shin ran up. When Mo Shanghua arrived, the scene had been cleaned up, and Linger's body was neatly placed in the wood room, with a pale maid kneeling on one side. More importantly, Lu Qianqian, Yun Ji and others are here, and they don't know what to do. Mo Shanghua congealed eyes to see two people, skin flesh don't smile of mouth. The servant girl in my courtyard is gone, poor don't know to concern everybody what matter, early in the morning then come to join in this lively. When saying this, her Mao light is to sweep to Lu Qian of the placid color. Sure enough, Lu Qian now is put on a pair of scared look, pale face stood on the side, but strong stand on the side, refused to go weak and resolute appearance. Mo Shanghua sneers in her heart. I have to say that what happened recently is that this white lotus is indispensable everywhere. Lu Qianqian didn't notice the look of the flowers on the street. She glanced slightly and couldn't bear to avoid the direct impact of the corpse. She quietly took a look at Yunji standing on her side. The moment Yunji and Lu Qianqian's eyes collide in the air, Yunji's heart suddenly has confidence and raises her voice. It's okay to have a relationship with others, but the living maid is in the maidservant concubine's yard. Naturally, she has an inseparable relationship with the maidservant concubine. After a pause, her voice turned and poked straight at the flowers. Of course, I can't get away from the princess. Payer, why don't you come up and tell me all you know? I'm not sure. The princess can spare you. Kneeling on one side of Pei Er smell speech, the body shook shake, the body deeply fu low, maidservant dare not say. Why don't you dare to say? All the sisters and the princess are here. What are you afraid of? Cloud Ji thin eyebrow light cu, seemed to be some displeasure at Pei son of timid. Mo Shanghua Mao Guang lingers on Yun Ji's and Peier's face, but he is a little dignified in his water eyes. He feels that it's wrong. Even so, she gently pursed her lips and temporarily restrained herself, ready to watch the change. Peier looked up at the flower in the street and bit her lip. Then she said, Hui, Madam Hui, this is how it is. The maid and Linger are very close sisters. Therefore, when I heard that she was punished yesterday, I quietly came to give her medicine. We talked a few words. She told me that she had never done yesterday's thing. It was Wang Princess deliberately framed her, want to borrow her to all the ladies in the house Liwei at this point, her voice was as thin as a mosquito and fly. She said that just after she finished, someone came to deliver the meal. Linger was afraid that I would be found and punished, so she asked me to hide. Even after that, the person who delivered the meal came in and strangled Linger alive. She said that it was the meaning of the princess. The maid hid in the VAT, so that she could escape the disaster. Voice down, full of uproar, Mo Shanghua instant has become the target of public criticism. The color of the flower eyes on the street is also suddenly cold, and there is a sense of killing at the bottom of the eyes. Lu Qianqian, full of the purpose of incredible color, stepped back and forth. How can it be like this? How can sister do such things? You really are not nonsense. Peier bangs her head on the ground, and her tears are dim. Linger is my best sister. I won't talk nonsense about her life and death anyway. I just don't want to carry the black pot when Linger is dead. We don't dare to say anything about the princess. In my opinion, we'd better invite the prince to come. After the shock, Yunji frowned and looked embarrassed. When the wall fell and everyone pushed, her voice fell, and Pingji and others echoed. Mo Shanghua coldly put everyone's expression in his eyes, and his voice was cold to the bone. You can believe that a slave has no brains? I'm not talking nonsense, I have evidence. Pei too took out a sign from her sleeve and said, "This sign was left by the person sent by the princess yesterday. I was afraid that I would be found, so I put it away quietly." Yunji took the sign and looked at it carefully. Fang said, "This is the sign of Wu Yuan. Say," she quietly made a wink to her close servant girl, "the servant girl will come over, busy quietly go down." Lu Qianqian took the sign and looked at it. His eyes were shocked, and he immediately turned to heartache. "Elder sister, how can you guard the concubines in the house in order to stabilize your position? It's a human life anyway." Seemingly distressed words, in fact, just a long time did not mention the matter, and turned out, so that the flowers on the street to stand in the target. The flower water in the mo, the eye is filled with a layer of frozen color, sneer in the heart repeatedly. Just about to open her mouth, Lu Qianqian came to her, and Chao Yunji and others saluted, "Everyone, my sister didn't do this on purpose. There must be some misunderstanding. If you are upset, I will make amends for you on behalf of my sister. Please don't annoy my sister. When is it your turn to intervene in the affairs of my palace? Besides, have I ever admitted that I did it? My sister is too kind-hearted." The flowers on the street are red and the corners of lips are gently raised. It seems that there is a color of smile between lips and teeth. Only a word, then let Lu Qianqian that delicate and moving eyes suddenly a stiff, slender 10 fingers tightly buckle sleeve, almost be angry out of internal injury. The princess's temperament has always been like this. Miss Lu's kindness should be accepted. Yunji's soft voice was a little ironic. Just as he was talking, the little servant girl who had been sent by Yunji led Yanbei City all the way. As soon as Yan Beiqing saw this scene, he found a seat and sat down with some obvious dissatisfaction in his voice. "It's so noisy in the morning. What do you want to do?" There was a sudden silence in the room, and everyone was afraid to say more. Only flowers on the street, but indifference swept him a look, then took back his eyes. Seeing this, Pei simply knelt to Yan Beiqing, and his tears were dim. "Lord, the princess killed her servant girl Linger, in order to frighten the ladies of all the courtyards. It's really wrong to die. I beg the Lord to make the decision. Although that girl is not in my courtyard, she is really pitiful when she dies. The Lord has made the master for her." Yunji sighed, and Yu uttered a word, which killed her heart. Yan Beiqing raised his eyes and looked at the flowers on the street. His eyes were full of impatience. The deep part of his eyes was a little dark and treacherous. After a long time, he said casually, "What should the princess do?" "Naturally, I can't listen to the one-sided words of the servant girl. I just want to ask the servant girl a few questions myself." There is no panic on the flower face, but there is only a calm in the water eyes. Yen North City Mao Bottom once crossed the color of a few fan interest, pretended impatiently waved a hand, then good at the reaction of looking at the flower on the street. He got Yan Beiqing's promise and didn't open his mouth in the framing. At this time, he just went to Pei and said, "Since you say that you are Linger's good sister, I ask you, do you know what she likes on weekdays? For example, what color does she like and what does she like to eat?" Pei was shocked and flustered. She likes orange, love to eat hibiscus cake. There are too many of them. I can't remember them for a moment. The corner of the flower lips on the street was smiling, and her voice was so flat that she couldn't hear her happiness and anger. "It's just that others said that I deliberately denied it. Let's go and call the housekeeper. He is in charge of the list of the adults in the house, and ask her to find the maid who lives with Linger, and check what you said one by one. As long as this point is verified, it will be enough to overturn all her words. In this way, she will surely die." Pei's heart suddenly turned pale and nearly collapsed on the ground. "What's the matter with you? Are you afraid to confront me?" Mo Shanghua squats down in front of Linger and opens her mouth, but her eyes fall on her like a saw. Before Pei opens her mouth, a silver needle is quietly clamped between her fingers. On the one hand, Pei's dumb acupoints are sealed, and on the other hand, the silver needle is stabbed in her arm. This silver needle is very poisonous. When it breaks out, it will rot in the intestines. To tell you the truth, I can save your life. If you don't tell me, you can watch it carefully. In the step that others can't see, the petals of flower lips slightly open and close, with the voice that only two people can hear, whisper in Pear's ear. Voice falls, she also will pay Sun acupoint untie, get up and back again, wave to call housekeeper. Pear sits on the ground with a dead face. Her eyes are full of panic. The words of Mo Shenghua just echoed for a long time in her mind. At last, before Mo Shenghua called the housekeeper, she suddenly said, "I'll tell you the truth, I'll tell you."